Welcome, everybody. I'm hoping things are working. I think they are. I think we are good to go. I'm just checking here. 1 second. I wrote a YouTube script yesterday, or not. Like I fixed the script yesterday. Yeah, I worked. I wrote it yesterday. We'll just say that I completely started over, and I want to read it. Let's see if I can pull it up real fast here. Make sure everything's working. It appears as though things are working. I'm just checking here. Okay, cool. Let me pull up the script real fast, and let's read the script first. Oh my god, he's acting like an obnoxious idiot. He's yowling, and now he's doing it back to me. Just open the door. Damn. Doesn't know how to open the door? Let me get his food so Miki doesn't eat it. Okay, I want to read the script. I am recording the last script I forgot to record, so I had to pull it from the main live stream. Gonna be here for a little bit, something to do in a couple hours, okay? No sweat. All right, well, let's start with this. I'm writing about... God, this isn't a good start. I couldn't even get through the first 4 words. I'm writing a book about how religious institutions responded to the Third Reich. Catholics, Protestants, Jehovah's Witnesses. I've had to sift through biased sources. Hang on. Catholics, Protestants, and Jehovah's Witnesses. I've had to sift through biased sources for every chapter. That's normal when you're writing history. But the Jehovah's Witness chapter was different. The scholarship itself had been tampered with. The authoritative academic source on Jehovah's Witnesses in the Third Reich is called Between Resistance and Martyrdom. It was written by a German historian named Detlef Garby. It's 800 pages. It's probably Gaba, actually, but as an American, I'm going to say Garby. And the English translation was done by a Jehovah's Witness. And it was subsidized by Jehovah's Witness organizations. Imagine if the Southern Baptist Convention had done the translation for the authoritative book on slavery and the church. That's what happened with Garby. Garby's first 2 editions of his book, the original German ones, quoted an eyewitness to what happened, a man named Konrad Franke, who eventually became the leader of the Jehovah's Witness organization in post-war Germany. He gave an eyewitness testimony to scholars about a convention that happened in 1933. At this convention, 7,000 witnesses adopted an anti-Semitic document called the Declaration of Facts. Franke was there. And in his testimony, Franke said, quote, "When we entered, we found the hall bedecked with swastika flags." He also said the convention opened with a song set to the melody of the German national anthem. He said people couldn't bring themselves to sing. He said, "What kind of leaders did we have who brought us into such dangers?" In his first 2 editions, Garby reported all of this. Swastika flags, the anthem melody, and Franke's testimony were in, and Franke's full testimony were in the book. Then Johannes Robel got involved. Robel is the Society's German archivist. That's an organizational position. He worked at Bethel. And after Garby's book came out, Robel argued that photographs from inside the hall didn't show swastika flags. But nobody claimed they were inside. Franke said the hall was bedecked with them, on the outside. Robel invented a version of the claim that nobody had made and then attacked it. A textbook strawman fallacy. An academic like Garby should have seen straight through it. He caved. In his later editions, he retracted the swastika flag. In his later editions, he retracted the swastika flag claim. Oh, thank you. I didn't know you were there.
Yeah, I was trying to be like quiet but obvious.
Okay, that works. Where was I? He called his own earlier scholarship... No, he retracted the national anthem claim. He called his own earlier scholarship a misunderstanding. His exact words were that the claim cannot and should not be tolerated in the future. That's not academic language. That's Jehovah's Witness language. Cannot and should not be tolerated is what an organization says when it's managing its reputation. A historian would say the evidence doesn't support the claim, not the claim can't be tolerated. And after retracting, he admitted it was quote unquote certainly possible that the outside of the building had swastika flags because the SA and the SS had held solstice celebrations at the venue the night before. So his own retraction doesn't even say the flags weren't there. It says they might have been outside but not inside. Why would he exclude it from his book? Franca's claim was right all along. He removed it because Jehovah's Witnesses told him to. If a convention hall today had swastika flags on the outside, they would not hold the convention. They would move it. They would find another venue. The fact that 7,000 witnesses walked into a building draped with swastika flags and held their convention anyway shows you the posture of the leadership in 1933. But Garby's later editions erased it. Jehovah's Witnesses' official response to the 1933 convention can be found on their website. They settled on the line that the flags were left up from a previous rally days earlier. That might be true. I have no way to know, and and I don't trust Jehovah's Witness scholarship on it. But either way, it doesn't matter. They held a convention with swastika flags on the convention hall. That was established by their claim. And Garby laundered that excuse into real scholarship. That was one revision. The more consequential one was the Declaration of Facts itself. The Declaration of Facts was a document read at the convention. It was like a motion the body of elders voted on. It was written by Joseph Rutherford, the president of the Watchtower Society, and translated by Paul Balzerite, the head of the organization in Germany at the time. The head of... I repeated myself here, apparently. Balzerite was supposed to read it. No. Let me fix this because I messed it up. Balzerite read it, but the brother who was supposed to present it as a motion refused. They had to bring in a substitute. People refused to vote on it, but they marked it down as unanimously approved anyway and sent the unanimous decision to the United States. They sent the Declaration of Facts document to Hitler with a cover letter. Luckily, let me add to this. We have a declaration. You want to learn more about it? Read my book. It's people forthcoming. James Penton also wrote Definitive History. This is his book, Apocalypse. Delayed. Definitive. Jehovah's Witnesses, Third Reich. No. In Germany. Jehovah's Witnesses, Third Reich. Yeah. Luckily, we have a copy of the cover letter and the Declaration of Facts, and the second letter that Joseph Rutherford sent to Hitler in 1934. If you want to learn more about it, you can read my book, God's People, forthcoming. James Penton also wrote a definitive history of Jehovah's Witnesses in his book, Apocalypse Delayed, and his definitive work on Jehovah's Witnesses in Germany. On Jehovah's Witnesses in Nazi Germany, titled Jehovah's Witnesses in the Third Reich. The declaration, let me fix this. The Declaration of Facts called the, quote, commercial Jews of the British American Empire, unquote, the builders of oppression. It claimed the witnesses' publications endorsed the, quote, very high ideals held and promulgated by the present national government, unquote. It attacked the Catholic Church as a shared enemy. A disfellowshipped Jehovah's Witness named James Penton, a professor of history, wrote a comprehensive history of this. He called it, quote, nothing short of a cowardly, self-serving statement, unquote. Penton published the full text in both English and German in his book, if you want to read it yourself. Okay, I didn't realize I had already said that. I'm going to have to cut that part. He has 2 books on this, Apocalypse Delayed, which is a comprehensive history of the religion, and Jehovah's Witnesses and the Third Reich, which is a real definitive source on Jehovah's Witnesses during World War II, unlike Garby's. After the accommodation failed, Rutherford pivoted to confrontation. He started attacking the Nazis from Brooklyn. He had Jehovah's Witnesses do a telegram campaign. He told German witnesses to ignore the bans and continue knocking on doors anyway. From Brooklyn, Penton found that Rutherford kept making anti-Semitic statements well into the mid-1930s. If the pivot from accommodation to confrontation was a moral awakening, why did the anti-Semitism continue? Because it wasn't moral, it was strategic. The accommodation failed, so he tried something else. And his people, the ones in Germany, the ones who couldn't leave, paid for both strategies in blood. Here's where it gets bad. None of that was bad. This is the bad part. Garby argued that the Declaration of Facts wasn't really anti-Semitic. He wrote that claims of witness anti-Semitism, quote, misjudged the true nature of the statement, unquote, and said, quote, it can't be considered as part of the concept of racial hatred, unquote. This is the position that Penton documented Garby adopted at the behest of Roble, the Society's archivist. So first, Roble got Garby to retract the swastika flags. Then he got Garby to defend the Declaration of Facts. The Watchtower's archivist intervened in an academic work, and the academic allowed it. But Penton wouldn't. Penton, a 4th-generation Jehovah's Witness, a professor of history, published evidence that Rutherford was anti-Semitic, that the Declaration was calculated accommodation, and that the organization had tried to work with the Nazis. Roble responded by calling the publication that carried Penton's evidence a dubious publication, which is undoubtedly published by opponents of Jehovah's Witnesses. Garby criticized Penton's work as reflecting a deep-seated aversion against his former religion and questioned his scientific objectivity. Sound familiar? That's the apostate card. You don't address the evidence, you attack the person who presented it. You call them bitter. You say they left because they couldn't handle the truth, not because the truth was ugly. It works inside Kingdom Halls too. It works inside Kingdom Halls, it works on judicial committees, and apparently it works in academic publishing too. The Watchtower Society's method is nearly identical to David Irving's method. Irving was a British historian who laundered fabrications into his books about World War II. He manipulated sources, distorted evidence, and used his academic reputation to legitimize Holocaust denial. Richard Evans wrote a whole book about it. Lying About Hitler, I think is what it's called. Deborah Lipstadt took him to court. There's an enormous body of scholarship exposing exactly how he did it. Witnesses. Academic community. The exact methods. And me comparing Jehovah's Witnesses to Irving is genuinely scandalous in the academic community. But I stand behind it. They use the exact same methods. To be clear, the comparison is about method, not ideology. Irving lied to make Nazis look better. The society lied to make itself look better. Different motives. Same technique. But Irving did it to his own books. The Watchtower Society... God, I'm going to get this out. The Watchtower Society commandeered legitimate academic scholarship. They got access to the editorial process of someone else's authoritative work, revised it from the inside, and then used that sanitized version as a weapon against anyone who cited the original evidence. There's a whole academic infrastructure dedicated to exposing Irving. Scholars wrote dissertations about his methods. There's almost nothing equivalent for what There's almost nothing equivalent to what the society did to the scholarship on its own persecution. And it worked. For decades, if you wanted to write about Jehovah's Witnesses in the Third Reich, you cited Garby. If you cited Garby, you got the sanitized version. If you cited Penton instead, you were citing the apostate. The water got muddy because the Watchtower Society muddied it. If you're a former Jehovah's Witness watching this, the version of the story you were told, the one in the yearbooks, the one in convention talks, the one in the Stand Firm video, that version was constructed. It's fake. The evidence that contradicted it was removed from the most important academic source. The people who tried to tell the real story were called apostates. I wasn't even told about the convention. Their propaganda videos about World War II ignored the convention and the Declaration of Facts completely. The real story is that in 1933, the organization's leadership wrote a document praising the Nazi regime and attacking Jews, held a convention under swastika flags, and left the average person to face the consequences alone. And they didn't just rewrite the scholarship, they erased the people who didn't fit the story. The Nazi regime offered Jehovah's Witnesses something it didn't offer any other persecuted group: a way out. Any witness in a concentration camp could sign a form. The form had 5 clauses. You declared that the witnesses taught false doctrine. You confirmed you'd left the organization. You committed to immediately report anyone who contacted you on behalf of the witnesses. You pledged to bear arms in war, and you acknowledge that if you violate any of it, you go back to the camps. Garby barely covers the people who signed the forms, or who were beaten bloody for not saluting the guards in the concentration camp. Went through, looked at every instance. 1 second, I'm writing. Okay, here we go. This is something Penton didn't pick up on, but I went through Garby's book and looked at every instance of him talking about Jehovah's Witnesses who broke under torture. The people who refused the form got full biographical treatment. August Dickman gets multiple paragraphs. His full name, his hometown, 29 years old. His full name, his hometown, and his age. The details of his public execution at Sachsenhausen. His brother Heinrich gets a direct quote telling the Gestapo he would remain a Jehovah's Witness. A minor named Johann Rakuba gets his punishment record laid out in detail. 12 official camp penalties, beating so severe other prisoners couldn't look away, a death at 42 that Garby frames as a triumph of willpower over force. The Kusserow family from Bad Lipspringa has their full story told. The father's prison terms, the mother at Ravensbrück, 3 children taken, 5 imprisoned, 2 sons executed. These are all people whose stories were elaborated on, whose stories were told in Garby's book. You know their families, you know what happened to them after the moment of confrontation. The ones who signed get none of that in Garby. One woman appears only as Anna Marie B. Just an initial. She told the court the Gestapo threatened to drag her out to the basement, force her to undress, and beat her until she signed. That's the last we hear of her. Where did Anna Marie go after the war? Did she survive? Garby doesn't follow the thread. A man said, I signed it so that I would no longer be exposed to their tortures. I felt relieved when they brought me back to my prison cell. No name, no follow-up. His history ends at the signature. Every person who held gets a story that continues past the moment of confrontation. Every person who signed disappears from the narrative in Garby's text at the exact moment they become inconvenient to it. Except one. He tells a story of a man who signed and then retracted and died in the concentration camp for the retraction. His story was convenient to the narrative to tell, so he told it. And Garby knows what he's doing. In endnote 329, buried at the back of the book where nobody's going to see it, he writes that treating those who signed as negative aspects of resistance reflects, quote, a naive, idealizing retrospective that had the objective of transforming the history of resistance activities into a heroic epic, unquote. He says that approach, quote, ignores the reality of human behavior, unquote. That's his own footnote. He diagnosed the problem in his own book. And then he wrote 800 pages that do exactly what that footnote warns against. The faithful get names, stories, the full dignity of their story being told. The unfaithful get initials and statistics and the organization's judgment. The book is the heroic... I'll just leave it at that. I've already said that part. I probably should have cleaned the script up. I feel like I'm repeating a lot. I'm going to go through it and remove some sections that are unimportant. And he reproduces without comment a 1942 Watchtower article that was distributed to witnesses inside the camps. It told them that anyone who maintained their integrity would receive everlasting blessings, and anyone who didn't would share a like fate with the persecutor. Everlasting destruction. The organization told concentration camp prisoners that if you broke under torture, you were as guilty as the men torturing you. You would be destroyed alongside them. Garby presents this as evidence of how the organization kept morale up. He doesn't comment on what it actually is, a religious institution weaponizing theology against its own people at the worst moment of their lives. And I would argue it's the same mechanism that built the renunciation form into a spiritual death sentence. The Nazis designed the document. Rutherford supplied the theology that made signing it a damnation. All right, let me just see how... Yeah, I'm almost done. Most refused, and the ones who refused paid for it. But some signed. And if you signed, the organization shunned you in a concentration camp. The only people in the world who understood what you were going through would stop speaking to you, including your own wife and children. Garby points out that the Gestapo knew signing caused what he calls a serious spiritual crisis. He doesn't point out that crisis was manufactured by the same organization whose story his book was telling. He doesn't name the shunning of concentration camp prisoners by their own religious community as what it was, a second layer of coercion sitting right on top of the first one. Two authoritarian systems, one on each side, and the people on the bottom get crushed between them. There was a man at Lichtenberg, one of the early concentration camps. His name was Frank, or maybe Franca. The man who told his story couldn't remember. He was an engineer, about 40 years old. Blonde curls, big blue eyes, pink cheeks that made him look younger than he was. He didn't talk much. He swept the cells and hallways without being asked. He fetched water for the other prisoners. He wore a purple triangle on his uniform. He wouldn't raise his arm to salute. The first time a guard noticed, they put him in solitary for a week. When he came back, his eyes were black and swollen. The other prisoners tried to talk him into saluting. He wouldn't do it. 2 more weeks of solitary. When he came back, the man with pink cheeks was unrecognizable. 5 SS guards took him into the courtyard. They ordered him to raise his arm. He didn't. They beat him until he lost consciousness. They put him in a cell with violent criminals. They sent him to empty latrine pits every day. His hands bled from carrying the buckets. More solitary, more beatings, weeks of it. Then one day he came back to the dorm, holding himself up against the wall. As he passed the guard in the hallway, his right arm came up, slowly, stiffly, crusted with dried blood. He murmured, "Heil Hitler." The theology behind that refusal was set in Brooklyn in 1929. That's when Rutherford declared all secular governments instruments of Satan and taught that saluting a flag was idolatry. Rutherford made that rule. Frank absorbed it at some point before his arrest, and at Lichtenberg he lived it out to the end of what his body could take. Rutherford spent his winters at a villa in San Diego. Frank bled into the stones of a courtyard in Saxony. The Watchtower Society didn't preserve Frank's story. His name doesn't appear in the yearbooks, the convention talks, or the documentaries. The organization that taught him the salute was idolatry didn't record what happened when the cost of refusal exceeded what his body could sustain. He held until he couldn't. That made him useless to the hagiography. The reason we know about Frank at all is a man named Wolfgang Langhoff. Langhoff was a communist. He was an actor and director in Berlin before the Reichstag fire. He got arrested for his politics and imprisoned at Lichtenberg alongside Frank. After 16 months, he was released and fled to Zurich, where he wrote a book about what he'd seen. The blonde curls, the affectionate eyes, the frozen puddle, the blood. He wrote it all down because it happened in front of him and it mattered, regardless of how it ended. The institution that claimed to speak for God kept the names of people who stayed loyal. A man who didn't believe in God is all that kept Frank's. The people in that hall deserve to have... Wait. I feel like I worded this weirdly. The people in that camp deserve to have their story told accurately, not the version the society approved, the version the evidence supports, including Frank's. I tried finding Frank's story, but I think it's lost to time. No. Tried finding Frank. Concentration camp. Because they chose to. I tried finding Frank in the concentration camp records, but I think his name and life are lost to time because they chose not to preserve it. Anyway, that's all I've got for you. Thanks for watching, guys. Okay, perfect. There was a lot of repeating in that I'm going to have to aggressively cut, but yeah. All right, let me just check. Hold on. I wanted to go to, We Don't Believe in Jesus.
All right, guys, we're at Venice Beach, Easter weekend. We're going to share.
So automatically kind of process and cook, if you will. 13 represents, 13 being the lower 6 chakras and the 7 being the higher.
Oh boy.
In which we're trying to kind of...
It's one where Paul said,
this?
Dude, I think about you often. I pray for you guys often. Seriously, I think about y'all a lot. It's been 2 years since we talked about Jesus. Has your mind changed?
Oh, I got a story for you.
Give me a story.
It's pretty funny, actually. This girl is trying to, preach to me, and she's in a kidnap van. That's what I call it. It's a Walmart truck. It's a kidnap van. This is in front of the gym that I go to.
Okay.
She's yelling, "No, Jesus loves you." I'm like, that's nice. Cash app, girl, and I'll talk to you, just like your pastor. So she starts...
Sick fucking burn, dude. Cash at me and I'll talk to you just like your pastor. I like that. That's good.
trying to preach at me, but she's also dating the same sex, and I don't think that's going to go well on Cloud 9. So on Cloud 9, you're not supposed to do that. So as she's trying to whine at me, I look at the back door to make sure there's not 3 people trying to jump out and snatch you while I'm trying to get my bike. Because you're not trying to get kidnapped in front of the gym. Who's going to save you? Nobody. They'll blame it on COVID. So as that's going on, her friend or her bestie, or maybe her partner, I don't know, she starts trying to preach pages that she's just pulling out of the sky. So while she's page pulling out of the sky, her friend's like, oh, hold on. I'm like thinking she's going to pull out a pamphlet. No, she pulls out this big old oxygen container and she starts doing helium on the spot, saying she's
Doing helium? Who the fuck does helium? Is helium something that people do? I thought helium was just the stuff that makes your voice high. You mean duster? Or do you mean, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? I've never heard of anybody doing helium. Is this just me? Hold on, let me pop out the Twitch chat and see how things are going. Okay, there we are. Do people do helium? I've never in my life heard of this before. Okay. This is Bryce Crawford. He's like a right-wing religious nutcase who goes and talks to people on the beach about Jesus. Anyway, let's listen to these people. Yeah, that'll be the intro for this. Let's watch it just for a minute. Not just you. Maybe he meant nitrous? Yes. Did he mean nitrous? That's duster, right? Nitrous is basically duster. Or duster has nitrous in it. Yeah, that's right. That's what it is. What a weird fucking thing to... Okay.
trying to get closer to God.
Whoa.
This is funny as hell, though. I wish I could have filmed it.
Whoa.
And then I said, let me just keep unlocking my bike to leave the scene. Because if she falls
Dude, Bryce is thinking the same thing. Do people do helium? Have I been doing it wrong? Have I been filling balloons with this stuff this whole time when I should have been inhaling it?
over and smacks her face, they're going to think I had something to do with it. Because you're the only guy in the zone at that time of day. Pictures, nobody else out there. It's just you, those two women. And who are they going to believe? You're a guy. They're going to take the girl's side for falling down. And she's doing helium and preaching. So she's doing...
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. This whole thing sounds made up. He sounds like he's trolling him, right? He's completely trolling Bryce Crawford right now, isn't he? Yeah, nitrous comes in those whipped cream gas whippets, right? And there's some other, yeah, you can get it in other forms too.
Doing helium and she's preaching, while her other friend's got this big old balloon. It was yellow, so that's how I was able to see her in this tinted window. And sunglasses. So I wish she wearing sunglasses for in a tinted window vehicle. This looks suspect. So she gets to the balloon and holds it up. I thought maybe it was an ugly kid. No, it's a balloon. Puts it in her mouth and squeezes it to get more fast, like a head rush.
Gotcha.
So while she's doing that, her friend opens the Bible and she starts trying to preach the lyrics to me while she's
high on helium or something?
Yeah, the helium high preacher girl. So helium high preacher girl is pretending she's gonna fix me. And I'm like, I need you to adopt a homeless person before you come near me. That's where you can get started. Go take somebody homeless home, and I might kind of believe you.
Whoa.
Other than that, she's just making noise and taking
Whoa.
enough oxygen that I need to breathe.
So where are you at with Jesus right now? What do you think about him?
It's a nice idea still. It's an interesting idea, but I just already know that it's not for me, because why am I going to pretend? From all the stuff that I've seen, been through, most people would have offed themselves already. They would have jumped off a bridge.
Just like experiences that you've been through.
Just in general, they would have just been like, no, I'm out.
Yeah.
They would have checked out a long time ago.
Yeah.
They'd have been like, I need some pain pills. I need a couple shavers and razors. And I need whatever I have to get out.
Okay, he's throwing out like addict jargon here intentionally, right?
Out of here.
Sure. Well, I think that's what's beautiful about your story.
These young ladies that are dressed like this, you say hi to them, they don't like one. They don't want to talk to you unless you got that house. If you don't have that house, they won't say hi to you.
Oh boy, we got an incel up in the house.
I can't even say they won't acknowledge you unless they get ran over. They need help getting up. They might not. It's a gamble. When I saw this girl telling me about all her wannabe experiences, I'm like, but you're doing helium. You can't.
Again, that is not something people do, is it? I've never heard of that in my entire fucking life. People doing helium? What do you mean people doing helium? If anything, I think that doing helium, quote unquote, wouldn't that basically just deprive you of oxygen? Is that where you're getting the high from? Oxygen deprivation? Is that it?
Hypocrisy.
Yeah, it's hypoxia that he's discussing, not helium high.
Yeah.
And she's sitting.
You know what? I'm gonna dive right into this and find the answers. I need to know the truth. Guy, girl. Hang on. Probably. No need to wonder. Just loaded up our question gun. Let's go answer hunting. See if we can find out what the hell this is about. Yeah. Helium is an inert, noble gas. It does not interact with your body chemistry at all. You do not get high from helium. You put it in balloons so that they float. Two very different activities.
There in the driver's seat with the Bible open while she's doing helium. And she's going to try to read me a couple paragraphs. And while she's looking down with her flashlight, like she's in an Indiana Jones treasure tomb, she's got the flashlight in her mouth. Yeah. And she takes it out, and then she does another hit with the balloon, and then she starts getting in.
Fucking please, dude. She's got a balloon now. This is ridiculous. Okay? Again, nitrous, you don't use balloons usually. I think you can use balloons. I think you usually use the little gas canisters or the little, whipped cream things or whatever. I've never done it before, actually. So I've seen people do it, but I've never done that before. But this sounds like completely made up, right? This is completely fabricated.
To David and Matthew, and she jumps back somewhere else and starts going more and more and more. And I'm like, okay, she's not going to go away. She's like right here. She's stationed here.
So you made the decision to leave.
Like you have to. You're by yourself.
So is the hypocrisy, is that of other people that like say, hey, Jesus loves you and they don't live like it? Is that what kind of turns you off?
The whole thing is just a hustle. It's all about money.
100%. Yes, it is all about money with televangelists. They're scam artists. Absolutely.
I watch from a distance, and then
Okay, people do fill balloons or whipped cream dispensers to do the whippets. All right, now we know. Knowing is half the battle, as G.I. Joe says, although I don't think that's an activity he'd approve of, but...
See everybody doing the song and the dance. And after the song, they're normal. Keep that in mind. Every time they have these roundups, everybody does a little like this. They'll say it's religious music, right? So they're all feeling it. And as soon as it's over, they're normal. And if you don't do what they do at the same time, now that's how they target you.
Where do you get that from?
I watched.
From where?
I watched at churches. I used to leave my eyes open when I prayed just to see what I was getting into. And I sat by the door in case it went south. So they used to lock us in back in '94. They would
Yep, lock-in, church lock-in, those are common.
Lock you in the church, but they promised to feed you.
Interesting, he says, like he's never heard of a church lock-in before. Fucking everybody has. I'm a Jehovah's Witness. They never had lock-ins for Jehovah's Witnesses. But I knew what lock-ins were because, the fucking weird religious fruitcake at school was always talking about how he's going to a church lock-in. He and or she was always talking about it.
We're going to give you some food if you're recycling cans and bottles just so you can eat, right?
Wow.
So while you're recycling, they do is they put your stuff in this other room, and they have this room for newcomers. They use good hot women to get you in the building. So they use attractive women with tank tops, tight pants. If you're single, you're 20, you're like, oh, check her out.
Wait, you're saying that the church uses hot women to seduce young boys into coming to the church? Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, come on, I'll pray with you. She leaves you in the front of the crazies. So you go up front, you sit down, and then you're thinking she's going to come sit by you. No, she's going to leave you up there with the old people, the fat kneecaps. So now you can't move. You're stuck in the aisle with old people, and you're like, okay, you guys did say you're going to help me with food. So you start questioning and wondering, what am I
Dude,
doing?
I have no fucking clue what is happening in this story right now. I am so goddamn lost. How old is he in this story? Is he telling a story from the perspective of, like, himself as a homeless person who needed food? Is he telling the story from the perspective of like being a young boy who was seduced by the hot women, quote unquote? Or what? Like, I'm just lost.
So what do you think if you don't have a faith in Jesus, right? Because there's different worldviews. What do you think happens when we die?
Better off than over here. You get a break from the planet, I'll tell you that. You get a break from suffering around this joint. You get a smoke break finally. That's why they say rest in peace. Who wants to get woke up again? I mean, come on. They're going to tell you.
Completely disagree. If I could live forever, I absolutely would.
Rest in peace on this tombstone, right? Make it make sense. We'll say rest in peace. So you mean to tell me this dude with a robe is going to come flying down and wake me up? Hey, I got to remind you about how your life was. Come with me. So now you're going to follow him up this big old escalator to the clouds.
Dude, is he just like making up what he thinks will happen when you die? You go up some escalator or something? I'm so goddamn lost right now.
You're going to sit down and go over what's wrong with your life. So while they're doing this, right, they're going to ask you these trick questions. And if you answer wrong, you're going to go downstairs to the sauna. So make it make sense.
That's the worldview of Christianity?
More or less. If you answer it wrong, they're going to hit the trapdoor button like the Ellen show. You know when they fall through the floor?
The Ellen show?
You push the button.
Dude.
They do the Ellen thing to you.
I don't think so.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I know what you're talking about,
Okay,
but that's
you push the button and you're gone.
But I'm a Christian, and that's not the Christian worldview,
The
though.
Ellen treatment. You answer anything wrong on cloud nine if they ask you what's wrong with your life. And now keep this in mind: if this would-be thing made us, why would it make you just so it can punish you like a step parent later? And if you ask trick questions,
Punish you like a step parent, okay?
they get mad at you that they can't answer. And now if he supposedly died for us, that means live your life, be happy, get over it, right? But if you say that, now you got extras in the backdrop like ear strain lady over there straining her ears. Hey, how you doing, girl?
Yeah,
so
I mean,
while they're doing that, they're contributing to the mentality that more or less Christianity is a form of slavery. If you don't do what you're told,
This is like so all over the fucking place, dude. I'm just straight up lost. I have no idea what he's talking about at this immediate moment. Like, Jesus Christ, please, can you write an outline next time? I'm begging you.
you're still shackled down by the chains of what they tell you because you've been programmed to go along with the plan. And if you don't do this plan, you're going to get punished severely one way or another.
well, I think
pointing at people, right?
human beings are programmed to be selfish, fill their desires, right? We're born into a world of sin. So the Christian worldview, to kind of fill in some gaps, would say God made human beings with an original design. The picture of the garden is how God designed man. It's man to be in relationship with God. God
So
gives
he's
human
gonna skip his girlfriend.
Fucking please. Oh my God, I get so sick of this nonsense.
Well, no, God
kinda sucks.
gives human beings free choice, right? So God's not forcing us to love him. He's not a mindless dictator. He gives
Yeah. He's not forcing you to love him, but if you don't, then you will literally burn for eternity. He will give you not a life sentence, but an eternity sentence, and artificially keep you alive while your skin melts off for the rest of eternity, for literally ever. Not a dictator. You don't have to love the guy. But if you don't, you're fucked. That checks out totally. You're right. He's not forcing me to love him.
Amir and Bryce the choice to love him, and if we choose not to love him, it breaks God's heart, but God respects the wish because that's free choice. We're free choice.
Okay, you want to burn forever while your skin literally melts off. That's up to you guys. Suppose. That's fine.
With human beings. So you and I get the opportunity to choose God or not. So hell isn't just a justice system, it's also a choice. Hell in a sense is a justice system because it's like here.
How's that justice where they're going to fry you forever?
Well,
That's not justice. That
we
sounds
can't
kinda
think-
like a whack deal.
we can't think that we get to make decisions and we only get punished in the moment by guilt, right? So if I murder someone,
Oh, fucking please. Yeah, if I murder somebody, I should pay the price, right? I should face justice for that. I completely agree with you on that one. But what if I just, like, tell my family that I did a really good job on this project at work, but actually it wasn't me who did the project at work. It was, like, Devon or whatever? What if I just kind of twist the truth just a little bit because I want my family to think that I do a good job? That's a lie, and that's against the rules, and I will burn for a literal eternity for that. How can you justify burning in hell for very minor white lies? Like 10 years old, you tell your family that, you baked a cake or whatever when you didn't, and you're proud of that accomplishment. You're going to hell for that. That's a lie. Bryce is going to the ultimate form of punishment for the ultimate form of sin, which is murder. Even that's not justified. An eternal punishment for a finite crime of murder? But you certainly cannot justify hell for lying, even though the Bible says that's what's going to happen. That's fucking psychotic.
Amir, I've got to go to trial.
What's it based on, though? Self-defense?
Well, God is...
No, if you kill somebody, what is it based on?
Let's say murder, the intent to kill someone.
What is it, self-defense?
No, we're not talking self-defense. If I go, to that guy walking up there, right there, if I just...
No, I mean, self-defense, you shall not murder, right? Isn't that what the Bible says? You shall not murder? Doesn't self-defense count in that equation? You still can't murder. The problem with the Bible is there's very little nuance, and what nuance there is counterbalanced by a lack of explanation or a lack of description of the crimes that you might commit in the first place, or the sins that you might commit. There's some nuance in it. Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to cut that whole last part. There is no nuance in the Bible.
Up to him and kill him for no reason, right? I'm going to go to jail, or I'm going to go on trial, and that judge is going to read me my sentence. I'm going to go to jail. That's justice, right? And you and I would have a...
Yes, for a finite crime, you get a finite sentence. You commit murder, you get 25 years. Actually, I think the sentence for murder is, it averages 13 to 16 years or something. 13 to 16 years, somewhere in there. So, for a finite crime, you pay an eternal price in heaven. Or, I'm sorry, in hell. In their mind, that's justified. That's fucking psychotic. There is nothing justified about that.
Problem if I ran up and intentionally murdered that guy and the cop put me in handcuffs and then took me to get donuts,
I wonder what was the backstory. Did he do something to you when you were a kid? Did you have a flashback? Did you have PTSD?
Oh, he already said it was just for no reason.
Just because.
Yeah, it's
kind of up.
Right, it's messed up, right?
Keep this in mind. Now, if you were going to do that, wouldn't Sky Daddy come out of the clouds? And
Sky Daddy, oh God, I don't like that term actually. It's kind of a cringy term to me, but okay.
Smack you in the back of the head and say, don't do that?
Well, see, we trust in the Bible, according to Scripture, the book of Jude would say...
slow it down or something?
Well, no, the book of Jude, right?
You?
God, because we live in a free world, right? Because sin exists, right? Suffering exists. Everything from the Palisades catching on fire last year to people doing bad stuff, right?
Dude.
Whatever it may be, there's suffering to exist, right?
That was planned, right?
Well,
oh, please, dude. Now he's saying, that was planned. There was a fire in the Palisades and it burned everything down. That was not planned, please. That's kind of fucked up to say, honestly. People suffering terribly. But okay.
I saw gangs light stuff on fire.
No, did you see the satellites? They were shooting lasers?
Look, I don't know anything about that.
So look it up.
But we know that sin and suffering exists, right? And so God limits,
California.
because God gives us free choice, right? God gives us free choice. God limits his power, so he doesn't punish everyone immediately right now if I go intentionally murder someone for no reason. Well, it's God's grace that he hasn't returned, because when he returns the next time, he's going to return to bring justice to the earth. The Bible says no more weeping and gnashing of teeth. But the first time he came,
You know what's funny about that? Weeping and gnashing of teeth. There's this old forged document that talked about the whole weeping and gnashing of teeth thing. It was fake, we discovered later, but in this forged document, basically, I think it was, I don't remember which apostle it was, but they basically said, "But Lord, what if we don't have teeth?" And Jesus said, "If you don't have teeth, teeth will be provided." In the gnashing of teeth. I think that's pretty good.
Round one.
Well, we know first time he came to...
Where's the documents? Don't they have some records or something?
We do. We have Greek manuscripts, Hebrew manuscripts. We've
Fucking please.
got more history that Jesus was a real dude than Alexander the Great existed. So the question...
That is not true. That is absolutely false. By the way, I don't know if you guys noticed, but sometimes I eat these little Peachio things on the game. And when I eat them, one below it appears it's not shaking. I discovered that many years ago. It just happened again. I ate it and another one appeared. I don't know why that happens, and I've never seen anybody else point that glitch out, but I think it's interesting. We have some textual evidence that Jesus existed. Like, it seems likely, based on what Jesus has said, or I'm sorry, what Jesus said and what he did and, you know, things like that. It seems likely that Jesus was probably a real person, but we don't have evidence of that. And saying that we have evidence of it, hard evidence, is absurd. I'm willing to say I think he was probably real. Okay, I'll take that step for you. But claiming we have more evidence. See, there I did it again. It turned from green to red when I did it that time. You have to throw your tongue out the moment you walk into it. That's the trick. Anyway, I wanted that turtle. Anyway, there is no hard evidence that Jesus existed. It's all pretty much textual criticism.
Is not, was Jesus real?
They
The question is Jesus God? Yeah, because Jesus is alive.
Where's his bones at? Like, don't they have some fossils or something?
Well, tomorrow's Easter. He raised from the dead 3 days later.
Oh, fucking please. Yeah, but his bones would still be here, wouldn't they?
He defeated the only thing that you and I can't defeat, sin and death.
This is even funnier. Rabbits and, I guess, what? I mean, the whole thing is hilarious to me.
Well, humans make Christmas about Santa and gifts, but what we celebrate as Christians is Jesus coming into the world.
With that, that's about people hustling for presents. It has nothing to do with Jesus. It's about getting freebies. My father painted a church. If you went in there with me, just as I am, you think they would let me in? This is what they don't know. This is like back
in... They tell you to take the horns off, of course.
1980, summer of 84. He painted a church called the First AME. His name's Eddie Lewis Edwards. Now, if I went in there, do you think they would let me get a couple dollars for them borrowing the backdrop?
I mean, I would say, unfortunately, people would kick a lot of people out.
They're using the backdrop to pull people in. They're using it like it's a poster so they can get bodies in the building. The more bodies, the more money they're going to get.
Well, I mean, deep Catholic history would say people decorated the cathedrals out of respect, out of majesty for the Lord. You know, God gave Solomon the opportunity to design the temple.
Is like, my father painted that. You think they would let me in there?
Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know everyone. But here's the truth, right? Just because you encounter one bad apple doesn't mean the whole bunch is bad. That's like me not meeting you. People would have a lot of good things to say about you. People would have a lot of bad things to say about you. And if I made my judgment about Amir based on what other people said, that's unfair to Amir.
Well, that's called gossip.
Right.
That's
so in the same way,
it's gossip.
Gospel isn't gossip.
Yes,
gospel is the good
why
news.
Do you think they round up and sit up there on the stage pointing at other people that are down on their luck?
Well, why do you think we're out here talking to you?
Because you guys are bored on the weekend? I don't know.
No, because we think that this is true, and I'm willing to take my time to talk to you a second time.
That's funny. What is this guy doing? What is he doing here? What is this? Does he just like come here and hang out and sit? Is he selling crystals or something? What is this? Is this quartz that he like fashioned into some kind of a shape? What is he selling? Let me do a Google reverse image search and see if I can find out what the hell this is. Oop. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see here. Hold on. Probably handmade crystal, gemstone jewelry, and decorative pieces, wire-wrapped pendants, rings, ornamental items using quartz, points, amethyst, turquoise, and other semi-precious stones. I don't understand what they're for.
Because I care about you. Amir, we talked 2 years ago, and now we're getting to talk again and hear how you were. And you know, the first time we talked, you were turned off to this thing, and now you're a little more softer.
Well,
and so I like it.
It's just based on the stuff that I've seen, like the woman that was doing helium in front of the gym the other night.
No one is doing helium. Fucking please. Oh my God, brother. I'm on your side as far as I'm on anybody's side, and you gotta stop saying that. I'm begging you.
Locking up my bike, and she was trying to preach at me.
Well, you and I would both
That
know
is
we wouldn't
hilarious.
say
Like,
that's
are you gonna
Christianity.
preach at me while you're doing helium? You can't do helium in front of me and then tell me about Jesus. They're like, oh wait, here, there's another quote while your friend's sitting there with the book open, and then she's squeezing a yellow balloon, getting closer to God, breathing that shit, right? So make that make sense, and then she's gonna pray it away by saying a couple Hail Marys.
Well, you and I would both
That's
know
true.
that that is a bad, poor
How
representation
would
of
you,
Jesus.
like, figure that out?
Well, the Bible says it in Romans 6 through 9 that we don't abuse God's grace, that God's grace
With the
is not
helium
an
balloon.
excuse with everything across the board.
With the helium
so like
balloon, though.
so like the Bible says that if we look at God and say, "Oh, well, God's forgiven me so I can do whatever I want." It
Well,
says
that's most of them.
absolutely
That's
not.
what the majority of the human race does, period.
Well, we do it every day to God,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
they just put an invisible cross on their head and they go molesting kids. Preachers do it 24/7.
Hey, fair enough. I agree with you on that one. Yes, you're absolutely on point. Good day, Owen. My love for your ginger cat and Al40 have a coffee or Fanta on me. Huffing helium. Perhaps he mistook nitrous for helium. Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, what the fuck? I don't understand what you were talking about. Like, huffing helium? Whatever. You know? Whatever floats your boat. Pun intended. You know, float, helium. Okay. Anyway, what did I miss in the past hour? This poor dumb fool with devil horns talking about huffing helium. Okay.
Kids don't get caught, and then when they do, they cry and blame it on the devil.
But there
They count
is
their
good.
pants down in the prayer
There is
room.
good.
They try to say they didn't do it, and then you got the nuns that probably do some weird too, but they don't.
You know, in World War II, I consider myself something of an expert on World War II. Not to toot my own horn, baby. Toot, toot! Anyway, I do know a lot about World War II, actually. A lot. I'm writing a second book on World War II, but in World War II, Hitler used... Oh, I dropped my Yoshi. Hitler used the fact that the Catholic Church took advantage of children. He used that against them and selectively put people put pastors or priests, or it was Catholics primarily or exclusively, put Catholic priests on immorality trials for taking advantage of children. Again, it was selective. It was the ones that didn't support him specifically. And the ones who did support him, who still had accusations of taking advantage of children, he just let them slide, you know. It was fully politically motivated. And as a direct result, the Pope instructed Catholic bishops and every Catholic parish everywhere to burn their records of accusations against their priests. And for the next, I think it was until 1980 or maybe 1990, 50, 60 years later, some European countries had to get permission directly from the United Nations before they were allowed to prosecute. Shit, I forgot. Yeah, okay. before they were allowed to prosecute Catholics for taking advantage of children again. The politically motivated attacks that Hitler waged against Catholics meant that 2 or 3 generations of children, 50 years worth of children never got justice. And honestly, the ones from 1933 to 1945 didn't either, because that's when Hitler was doing the immorality trials. And yeah, it's all just fucked up. It's all wrong and sad and disgusting and messed up. There's a problem with the Catholic Church taking advantage of children, because the Catholics, they knew that there was an issue and they ignored it, and intentionally. And as a direct result, people knew that priests could get away with that stuff when others could not. So people who take advantage of children sought out that position so that they wouldn't face accountability, Just disgusting.
Don't get caught for some reason, but every year you got a pastor that's crying on the news, and he's like, oh, the devil made me do it, and then he gets busted, and he's trying to play it off, and they just get relocated to another building.
Well, I learned a long time ago.
They don't cut their hand off, stick it on the wall, and then, make an example. That would end that.
It wouldn't end that shit, because criminals don't believe they're going to face accountability. The problem is they're not thinking about the consequences. I'm sure that most of those people believe that if they were to get caught, they would spend the rest of their lives in federal prison. That doesn't change the fact that they're going to take advantage of kids. That's gonna happen. Instead of focusing on harsher punishment, you could set the death penalty if you wanted, and it wouldn't matter, because people aren't thinking about the consequences when they do that. They're thinking about how to get away with it. So I'm sorry, increasing the penalties is not going to change a damn thing.
Never have them touching on kids again.
Well, I learned a long time ago not to stereotype, right? And there is a lot of bad out there, but there is a lot of good. Now, imagine if I judged you based on wearing 2 horns on your head, and I...
Fucking please. Look, it's stereotyping if it's an immutable intrinsic quality about somebody. Priests sought those positions out because they knew that they would be protected by the Catholic Church. That they knew that people had to go to the United fucking Nations to get charged before they could get charged with anything.
I said, well, I'm not going to go talk to him because he might be scared. He might not be nice.
About that. If you live your life worrying about what other people think, then you're setting yourself up for failure.
Right. And so in the same way, if you worry about what other people are doing instead of following the truth of who Jesus is, then you're going to miss the beauty of the gospel.
Nixus TV says, wow, I had no idea. That's wild. I have all kinds of wild facts, little fun facts about World War II that people don't know, that I was fascinated when I learned some of this shit. That Hitler's favorite Bible verse was that one in the book of John where Jesus went in and whipped the shit out of the Jews. Favorite Bible verse ever. Yeah. What about, let's see, are there any other really interesting fun facts? The Nazified Christians in World War II called themselves the Christian nationalists. That was the name they gave themselves, the Christian nationalists. It was evangelische Nationalisten. Evangelische does not translate to evangelical. It translates to gospel, technically. And you can get all kinds of different translations out of it depending on the context. You might be talking about Protestants rather than Catholics, so it could translate to Protestant. It could refer to the whole Christian movement. It just depends. I translate it to Christian nationalists, because that's what they were. They were Christian nationalists. So that original scholarship that I did in my new book, Chapter 6, that the contemporary scholarship got wrong. They incorrectly believed that they were called the Christian National Socialists. And I get why, because a guy named Reinhold Krauss, pretty high up in the church at the time, called them that in his memoirs 35 years later. But a contemporary source, Arnold Dannenman, wrote in 1933 that they wanted to put their name on the church ballot as the Christian nationalists. And Hitler vetoed it and had them name themselves the German Christians instead for propaganda purposes. We also have the church ballot that they had their name on. But anyway, yeah, it's a big, whole complicated thing that I find fascinating. That's my original contribution, my original scholarship. And I'm planning on writing a scholarly article on it to get it published. We'll see if I'll actually be able to get it published, but yeah. I know a lot of the scholars in this field. I've spoken to many of them and have a friendly relationship with some. So, we'll see.
And that's where Jesus is calling anyone who wants to receive the message to follow him. And you can't control what other people do, but you can control following him.
They can do whatever they want to do. They're going to do it anyways.
That's why I love Jesus, because he says, you follow me, you follow me. If you don't, you don't. Don't act like you sit on the fence. He says, if you're lukewarm in your faith, I spit you out of my mouth. Jesus says that in Revelation 3. So he says, either follow me or don't follow me. That's why I love the good news. It's the beauty of it. And that's why we're out here talking to you again. After 2 years, bro, we haven't seen you in 2 years. And we think you're valuable. And we think God's given you unique gifts and creativity. And that's why we're willing to spend here and chat with you, because we think that God's given you this unique ability. Now, you didn't have this thing out here last time, but you had something similar to that.
I got lucky and bought that from the store before they closed.
What the hell is that supposed to be? I can't even tell. Is that like it looks like an axe or something? Wait.
This thing out here last time, but you had something similar to that.
I got lucky and...
What is this? Oh, is this a goat head? Is it supposed to be like a scepter with a goat head or something? Like that?
Bought that from the store before they closed. So I said, I got to put this face together for a photo. Maybe I'll make some money with it and get a couple of tourists before the weather. You got to wait for it to cool down if you're going to take pictures so you don't pass out from chasing the little farts around.
Let me ask you one more question. If God could do a miracle in your life, what would that be?
I would tell him I would need more than one, if that's the case. I'm going to need like a load of them. I'm going to need like...
I mean, I like the...
Bro, what? No. One miracle can solve all of your problems. Here's the miracle. Real simple. Give me $10 million. Suddenly, literally every problem that I have is solved.
Probably have this never-ending hit list. I'd have a wish list on payback first. I'd have to tell them to go make me win the lottery. Let me see. End homelessness. Give some housing to people who need some housing.
Hey, that's a miracle for other people, not for you. Okay? God can... Oh, no. I think I just broke things. Okay. God can, do miracles for other people, but he's asking about your miracle. So what's your miracle going to be? 10 million. You know what? If God just gives me 10 billion, I will solve homelessness. And we don't have to worry about it anymore.
All these people think they're better than other people that are preaching, but they don't really ever help them. They just give them a pamphlet. Like, how's a pamphlet going to help anybody who's digging in the trash for food?
Yeah.
Instead of taking them home, dressing them up, rinsing them off.
Jesus says that in Matthew 25. He says, what you do to the least of these, you would do unto me. So Jesus says that the partiality that we would show other people based on status, race, financial amount in their bank account is the same partiality that we would show to him. So Jesus does ask that. And although that there is hypocrisy and there's a lot of people that do bad, there is good. And we believe that Jesus is the only good one because he's God, right? And he is the truth.
But the reality is, you don't see him when kids are getting shot in school shootings. He doesn't show up when...
Don't say it, Bryce. I know you're thinking it. Well, God's not allowed in schools anymore. That's why he's not protecting them. Don't fucking say it. Don't you goddamn dare.
And where was he during slavery? Keep that in mind.
Oh, God hates slavery.
That whole thing go down?
God does not hate slavery, actually. God loves slavery, which is why he tells people how to do it in the Bible.
Hates slavery.
He watched it from the beginning to the end.
Well, that's
what you're saying, like it's a VH1 channel.
Well, that's what Judgment Day is for, right? It's because God's not going to let any wrong go
But he let a lot
unjust.
of people die now, didn't he? He up.
Well, Amir, look, I'd love to pray for you again, because last time we talked was 2 years ago, and now we got to talk. You're a lot more open-minded than you were last time we talked. 2 years has a lot of time. That is very true, because last time we talked, you were like, I don't know about this Jesus thing, and now you said it was a good idea. I mean, dude, it's no coincidence that you've been through a lot of
I didn't catch him say it was a good idea.
hurt and suffering. No coincidence you've experienced a lot of suffering.
Bro, what the fuck is he doing? Is he spraying himself with Windex right now? What is this?
Stay awake.
La La Land out here.
But I mean, you know, that's why, and look, I'll close with this. Like, that's my favorite thing about Jesus, is he's the only God out of any religion that suffers with humanity. He understands suffering outside of...
No, he doesn't. Okay, whatever. You know what? I'll let it fly. Go ahead.
any other God. Every other God out of every other religion sits on their high horse and says, people are broken, work your way to me. Whereas Jesus says, I'm perfection. I'll meet you where I'm at. I'll understand how you feel. I'll understand suffering so that he can relate to us in that way. But he defeats the thing that we can't defeat, and that's sin and death. I mean, I'd love to pray for you.
How are they going to like beat death when he created it? Make that make sense?
Well,
fucking thank you. Jeez. Yes, Amir, exactly.
God has always existed, right? But it says that God humbled himself.
Death and doom, how's he going to kill it?
God didn't create suffering. God didn't create death. Death and suffering is the result of rebellion against God.
Give me a fucking break, okay? God created everything, didn't he? Did he not create the way that this entire system works? Literally, all of this is God's fault. He did this. This is him. He designed the system, right?
So what Jesus did on the cross was an answer to death and suffering. It is the response and the antidote to the suffering and sin of the world. And so actually we look into it as like, actually this is a good thing. This is a very good thing that Jesus came. It's so that we can have hope, that we can have purpose, that we can have life. Jesus says, I've come to give life and life abundantly, but the devil has come to what? Steal, kill, and destroy. And so Satan's whole agenda is to deter our eyes from seeing the truth of who Jesus is, his freedom, and his love. And that's why we're talking. It's because we believe in the love of God, and we believe that it transforms, and it's Jesus who saves.
No, we.
No, I'm talking about we. We do.
You guys. I'm just an artist, and I'm just enjoying the place before we get old and fall out.
I mean, dude, think about this. Last time we talked, you were like, I'm not dealing with Christianity. This time you're like, Jesus is a good idea. So
I'm sorry. I did not hear him at any point in this entire conversation say Jesus is a good idea. I did not hear that. What are you talking about? Did I just go through those ghosts?
It's entertaining if you want to be entertained.
Can I pray for you really quick, Amir, before we get done?
Yeah, hurry up.
Let me pray for you, Amir. Jesus, say for Amir's life, thank you, God, that we get to be together and chat. Lord, would your over-consuming love consume him? Would you grip his heart? Would your holy conviction meet him?
Grip his heart.
And God, would the true gospel impact his life and transform him to live a life
him,
glorifying
ATM,
to you. God, we love you. We thank you for Amir's life. Bless him in Jesus' name. Amen.
ATM.
I can't believe we just saw Amir. It's been 2 years since we saw him. I don't know if you guys know, it was like one of the first videos we ever posted of our ministry, Street Evangelism. We talked to Amir. You know what's crazy is the first time we talked to him, he was like, no, I don't want anything to do with Jesus. I'm a little turned off by it. And then this time he's like, well, Jesus is a good idea, but...
I genuinely did not hear him say Jesus is a good idea at any point. And yes, this guy is deeply condescending, and I don't even think he realizes that either. I don't think he intends to be. I just think that's his personality, condescending shithead, honestly.
So God is slowly softening his heart. So just like we asked the first time, keep praying for Amir, because we believe that God can reach him and use him in a magnificent way. But guys, thanks for watching the video. I pray that it was an encouragement. Happy Easter. I know
it was absurd. Anyway. Oh, Easter. Wait. So this video happened the same day that Donald Trump said a bunch of swears and said he wanted to kill the, an entire civilization and then praised Allah, right? Is this the same day? I think it is. Yeah, tell me what you think in the comments. Jesus Christ, dude. All right. That's pretty good. That was a good episode. Where are all of my videos? I was thinking about watching Pete Hegseth and his hearing, but I'm not sure. See, Rumble. Whoop.
Scientific method.
Let's see. Let's see what's happening on Rumble. If there's anything interesting here.
Arian stepped in and like stop being idiots. Let's be friends again. So thanks for coming back on.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to be back with you.
Yeah, I think you've just been crushing it lately with.
I'm in politics. I want to know the truth. Well, it's very strange.
I love Dan. Great.
All right, let's pull this and give it a watch. See what happens here. Jake Shields is insane and disgusting and evil. And just a complete sucker, honestly. Like, he believes the stupidest shit. The most unbelievable conspiracy nonsense. This is 3 weeks old, apparently. Jake, I love that shirt. What's it say? Oh, it's Bobby Fischer. The chess kid. Bobby Fischer railed against the international Jews. Really? Later in his life, he died in almost obscurity. He was blacklisted and hunted by the Jews. What the fuck? What is he talking about? Let me see if I can find out. Anti-Semite. Let's see if Bobby Fischer was an anti-Semite. Wow. Okay, he was. I did not know that. Now I understand why he's wearing that shirt. Jesus. He got into Worldwide Church of God in the 60s and 70s, which had its own strand of anti-Semitic theology. After 9/11, he went on air celebrating the attacks and blaming them on Jewish conspiracies. Wow. Fisher was ethnically Jewish himself. His mother, Regina, was Jewish, but especially from the 80s onward, he went deep into anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, praised Hitler, denied the Holocaust. Oh my God, I did not know that. Jake Shields is wearing a Bobby Fischer shirt here in an interview with Nick Fuentes. Apparently, Bobby Fischer was this massive anti-Semite. I had no idea. Praised Hitler, denied the Holocaust, called for the destruction of the Jews, regularly went on unhinged rants on radio stations. I did not know that. The context behind that shirt makes it even more disgusting. Jake Shields interviews Nick Fuentes, and both have praised Hitler, I believe, at different points. So I want to listen to the interview and see how absolutely unhinged it gets. The first comment on this video. Jake, I love that shirt. Bobby Fischer railed against the international Jews, even though Bobby Fischer was Jewish. So let's listen to this video and see what they have to say to each other. That's wild, dude. All right, let me open it. Wait. Okay.
Lazarian stepped in and like stop being idiots. Let's be friends again. So thanks for coming back on.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to be back with you.
Yeah, I think you've just been crushing it lately with Iran, Trump. I think me and you are the only podcasters on the right that didn't endorse Trump.
I think you're right. Yeah. Because a lot of the people that agree with us about Israel wound up endorsing him, even some of the people that are against the war now.
I had a lot of pressure to endorse him. Did you? Maybe not as much because you were already kind of ostracized, but they were kind of offering me like favors, bring me to the White House. But
oh, yeah.
That's interesting, right? Like, we all knew that there was a lot of pressure on podcasters and stuff to endorse Donald Trump. but they're being pretty explicit about it here. That's fascinating.
Huge. I mean, I came out very early, I think in May or June of 24, saying I wasn't going to vote. And the pressure was enormous. We were ridiculed, me and the Groypers ridiculed and attacked throughout the whole election for that. And we said specifically, we're not voting for Trump because he's going to bring us to war in Iran. And here we are, you know.
I don't think he said that. I mean, I don't think Fuentes said we're not voting for him because he's going to bring us to war with Iran. I think he completely made that up, but okay.
So,
you know what? I didn't think he was bringing forward Iran. I did know he was owned by Israel, but I thought it was possible, but I thought it was like 30%, 20%. You nailed that because you kept saying that.
Why thanks.
You thought he was going to do exactly what they were going to say, or why did you think he was? Because it's so insane to go to war with Iran.
It's totally insane. And it wasn't even on most people's radar. I remember having conversations with people back then and telling them this is a real risk. It's a real concern. And for most normies, they just weren't even thinking about it. And the reason is, you got to remember 2024, this was in the thick of the war in Gaza, as well as the war in Lebanon and the regime change in Syria. That all happened in rapid succession in the spring, summer, and then fall and winter of 2024.
I'd love to know why Jake Shields' camera is so piss poor and why half of his head is cut off at the top. That would be great if somebody could explain that to me. If I fall asleep to Dante and Milton, I've listened to Joshua Graham, read them. I know the plot of The Divine Comedy, but Paradise Lost puts me to sleep. A lot of old books like that put me to sleep. Even Lord of the Rings, I couldn't read them. I tried. I straight up fell asleep face first into the book because it was so goddamn boring. It's literally like 500 pages of them just walking, It's bad.
And so I remember watching all that heat up, and I always knew, basically since the beginning, that eventually that campaign by Israel would roll into a regime change war in Iran, just based on the rhetoric. They were even broadcasting it very openly at the very beginning, early on. And so I just listened to what Netanyahu said, and I saw that they all coalesced around the Republicans. And when Trump won the nomination, Mary Madelson cut the check for $100 million. And I just sort of saw the vision. Israel's taking it to Iran. They need Trump in position because they need America to help them. And so I didn't know exactly, like you said, it's so shocking that it has happened. I didn't know how or when exactly, but I knew that eventually that was going to be the play. And sure enough, there it went.
Yeah, it's 100% bad for America. I don't see a single good thing. People are dying.
There is not a single good thing about the Iran war. Absolutely agreed.
Getting killed. It's just like hard being a very proud American. I know you are too. It's been hard kind of like spiritually to be that we're the bad guys out there. The first missile strikes
always were
targeted an all-girls school. It's just been kind of hard coming to terms with this.
Really? Now is the moment you're coming to terms with us being the bad guys? Now? We've been the bad guys all along.
Yeah, it is. And I think that in particular...
Like, were you not here for Iraq? Did you forget about that? That was us being the bad guy. That was us literally torturing people.
In particular, this war makes us feel like we're an evil country and we have an evil leader. And I didn't even feel like that necessarily when the war in Gaza was happening, only because there was some reluctance from the Biden administration to support it. And now that this is full steam ahead in Iran, Trump is leading it. This is our war. This is not like Israel with American support. This is a U.S. war that Israel, of course, dragged us into. But Trump is taking the lead, and it's the deception, it's the flippancy with how he's talking about it. He's being very flippant about it and insincere.
Fuentes has recently been saying he's been really guarded about revealing his true feelings on things because he knows that like a lot of people are listening, a lot of like normal people who are not nutcases. And every now and then, buried in a podcast episode, he will reveal his true feelings about stuff. He will honestly come out and say, I want to arrest all Democrats, throw them all in prison, Hitler style. He said concentration camps in the video we watched yesterday. He wants concentration camps again. And every now and then that slips out. But he's saying reasonable things publicly right now that reasonable people, even on the left, can agree with, because he's trying to draw in a larger audience. And if he can draw in a larger audience, then he can work them over to the concentration camp point.
It's the brutality and the cruelty of the conflict, and you really feel like we have an evil leader, like a diabolical leader.
He does not believe that. He does not. At best, he thinks Trump is an incompetent dummy who is making a mess and wasting money. He doesn't give a fuck about Iranians. He doesn't give a fuck about Americans. Again, he wants concentration camps, quote unquote. That's what he said yesterday. He's trying to say things in such a way to bring in an audience and then move them over to a more extreme position.
That is just wicked. There doesn't seem to be any grace or charity. I don't see any godliness in Trump anymore. So there is a psychological effect where it feels like we've sort of lost control entirely. There's just not even a semblance of it. Feels like we're a demonic nation right now. So I agree with you. It's not a good feeling.
Yeah, it does. And we were both Trump supporters. We both turned on him, for a lot of people, but doesn't feel like he's the same person. He always had some of these tendencies, but it seems like something's just gone wicked off the deep end.
Then you're a fucking idiot if you didn't see this coming into the election. Everybody saw this. Everybody knew that he was going to be a dictator. Everybody knew that. He said he was. Like, he literally said, I intend to be a dictator on day one. If you didn't catch that, then you're fucking blind. You're the dumbest motherfucker alive.
Or maybe we missed it before. But it's just truly dark and evil. Like, hopefully he has that deadline tonight where he's saying he's just going to massacre them, basically genocide. I was just before the started reading, maybe they have a deal. I have no idea what's true. I hope he doesn't just start bombing, massacring children, because how can we...
Like he cares about children. Again, Fuentes said he wants concentration camps. They don't care about children. Never did. They care about propaganda value.
Be proud Americans. And yeah, I was just in Vietnam. The first time in my life I ever felt like a little weird saying I was American. People looking at you a little different. And I love my country. I am a patriot. People say, oh, I'm disloyal. You're a traitor. Like, no, I'm not a traitor. I'm trying to take my country back. I'm sure you feel the same way.
I do. I love America, and I'm a patriot. And I even, when we talk about the situation in Iran, I said on my show, I'm praying for Iran. I actually want them to prevail in the conflict, but I'm a little conflicted about it because of...
Wow. You want them to prevail in the conflict. That's interesting. In an ideal world, we would pull out because it's none of our fucking business what's going on in Iran. Why are we even over there? But ideally, the IRGC would go away and no longer run it, ideally, because the IRGC is terrible. They have morality police and stuff. It's bad.
Of course, I don't want Americans to die, and I don't want American soldiers to die in the conflict, and I want America to be a successful and victorious and proud country. However, we are in this position because we clearly have no sovereignty. There is no connection between what the American public wants and what we believe in and what we're actually getting from the White House. It's like the least popular war in modern history, and I don't think anybody believes it's in our interest, even if I'm sure you have some Trump supporters that believe that maybe they trust Trump or they have some confidence in him. There's still a remnant there. I don't know if anybody believes that this has any positives for us or at the minimum that it's more positive for us than it is for Israel. So that's always the rub. And yeah, so it puts you in a weird position. But I would say that you have to draw a distinction between the regime, which is Trump and the Trump government, and America, which is the people and the history and the land and all that. I love America. I don't love this regime that's in control right now.
Exactly. They don't represent us. I was actually really surprised to see you praying for Iran, because like the night before I found myself praying for Iran and the soldiers, and I was thinking, oh, this people think this is so insane. And then I saw you admitting that. I was like, wow, it's not something I expected from like a right-wing commentator. They act like you're some evil guy, and you have basic humanity and respect.
Well, he really doesn't. He doesn't. He does not have basic humanity and respect. He actually wants concentration camps, actual real concentration camps. His word, not mine. He called them concentration camps that he wants to set up. He does not have basic human decency and respect. He has propaganda.
Oh, I'm a Christian. We don't want to see innocent people die. And I'm a huge believer in that. And, is
that why you supported ICE efforts and you made fun of Alex Preddy and Renee Good's death? Is that why?
Much as we have views about racial politics or about Jews, this is just a reflection of how people get along. But I don't believe under any circumstances we should be killing a civilization. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, and they're not some
You don't know what that means. It means fucking genocide, obviously.
backwards people. I know a lot of Iranians. They're not these like backwards cave people like they act like they are. It's like they're some of the nicest, friendly people I've been around. So to treat them, they dehumanize them.
Well, more importantly, people are confusing Iran with Afghanistan when they think that. Like, Osama bin Laden actually did a lot of his work from a cave in Afghanistan for protection, filmed a lot of his propaganda videos and his messages to America from a cave. And that's probably why people think they're cave people. They are not cave people in Iran by any stretch of the imagination. They are a civilized society, just as, advanced as America. They have, nuclear programs, and they have scientific institutes and the whole nine yards. If you think that they are cave people, then you've been lied to. They're in no way less advanced than the U.S. They don't have as much money for research, but they certainly have money for research. And they have advanced military technology.
They dehumanize the Gazans, the Lebanon. And it's just been a tough year spiritually, I think, for a lot of people. Like a spiritual battle in this country. I used to be anti-religion, but it's pushed me towards God. And you realize if there's a devil, there has to be a God.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it shocks your conscience. It awakens you to the fact that
Nick Fuentes' conscience is shocked. Please. Gotta head out. Always great show. See you on Sunday. Awesome. Thank you. I'll see you Sunday then.
we do have written on our hearts a sense of right and wrong and good and evil. Everybody knows it. Everybody's born with it. Everybody has it. It's just that over time, you get desensitized or you learn not to listen to it or you turn it off. But when you see the most absolute heinous evil, which is what this is, it's just bloodthirsty, like you're talking about, genocide, mass murder, I think that awakens you to the fact that we're moral beings. We live in a moral universe. We're meant to tell the truth and fight for what's right. People have dignity.
Then why, God, like, why is he saying all of this when we know that he believes in race science and that, like, Jews are inferior to white people and all this other insane shit? Why is he even pretending right now?
And when they lose their dignity, when they're dehumanized so they could be killed, we recognize intrinsically there's something very wrong. Maybe there's something that's the ultimate evil. So I think there's a lot of truth in what you just said.
Yeah, I'm a father. I have children. So when I see these children being slaughtered, it just hurts. I had to stop going to those Telegram channels, looking at that stuff. I realized it was like, I'm like a strong guy, but it was messing me up mentally, looking at too much of this stuff. Like, I got to stop looking. And so I can't imagine what they've suffered through, the Palestinian people. It's just bizarre watching our country turn evil. I don't know. How do we turn it around?
Do you notice he mentioned Telegram channels? There are some Telegram channels that are like QAnon groups full-blown right-wing extremist nutcase groups. And a lot of those are organized and orchestrated specifically to give people a certain message, for people to leave with a certain feeling. They'll show like actual war footage of people dying brutally, snuff films, the whole 9 yards in those things. And they will vary where the snuff films come from, depending on which group they want to demonize. They want to hate Jews, they'll show snuff films of Gaza. They want to hate Ukraine, they'll show snuff films of Russians. It's all organized propaganda. That's it.
I don't
Right?
I don't know.
I was thinking about running for office, and I'm like, I started looking at trying to fix the problems, and I'm like, I don't even know what could be done.
I don't think there's anything that can be done. I think that the country needs a reckoning is what has to happen. The country is wicked and decadent and arrogant. And what you see throughout the Bible, ironically, in the context of Israel, is that when the people become proud and when they don't listen to God, God punishes them. God humbles them. And I don't know that it necessarily works exactly the same way, but I think we tend to find that when people become arrogant, there's that saying, pride goes before the fall. They have a habit of inviting and attracting ruin and destruction. And this country has had opportunities, I think, to do the right thing, and people are not stepping up to the plate. People are not doing the right thing. And so we will be humbled. And I think that it's incumbent on the good people to try to do what we can. All we're called to do as Christians and as decent people, it's not that we're supposed to change the outcome or fix America. That's up to God. The world is in God's hands. All any one of us can do is take accountability for ourselves every day, one day at a time, telling the truth, trying to do the right thing, treating each other with charity and compassion and gentleness and mercy. That's all anybody can do. And all anybody can do is try to reflect on their own actions. Am I part of the solution or am I part of the problem? Are we going to be part of the part of this generation that will inherit this fallen country and try to put it back together? Or are we going to be destroying it? And unfortunately, a lot of people want to be a part of the problem.
Yeah, I'm going to at least try, It's like, I'm going to at least try. I felt like a calling, maybe from God. You probably felt that, I don't know, God, whatever it is, I felt like I had to speak up. People were trying to talk me out of it when I first started speaking up. I mean, you obviously know how crazy it was because you were long before me, the amount of ostracization you've had, but I just felt like I had a moral obligation to do the right thing and speak up and try to push the country and the world towards a better place.
The dude's literally wearing a Bobby Fischer shirt to signal that he thinks Hitler did the right thing. And you're telling me that you had a moral obligation to do the right thing? Give me a break. This guy specifically has, on multiple occasions, talked about Hitler positively. I do not want to hear it.
Yeah, for me, it was just, I was always into politics. I was always obsessed with it. And I just went where the truth is.
Which is 4chan. He went to 4chan. That's where he, got his political ideology formed, was on 4chan at 14 years old. Nick Fuentes is the direct result of 4chan on a teenager's brain.
And it was very obvious as an 18-year-old, like they're not hiding it, that you have this subversive influence in the country. And if you just look at it long enough, you'll see it. And for me, it was just never a question. It was always whether we were going to tell the truth or whether I was going to tell the truth and face the consequences, or you knowingly lie so that you can make money, so you could have platform access. And I could just never live like that. So for me, it was just not even really a question. It was, I tell the truth. I'm in politics. I want to know the truth, share it. And if that's what the truth is, so be it. And you get persecuted. That's the story of humanity.
You get persecuted for persecuting the Jews. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I want to get some super chats, but I'll read those at the end. We got like 1 hour because Nick's got a tight time schedule. Last 10 minutes to read super chats so we don't break the flow. But just back to the thing though.
Brother, you just broke the fucking flow by talking about it.
But it's such a young age, 18 years old. I couldn't have sacrificed like you did. The way you were ostracized.
Such a fighter. Do you know why Nick Fuentes, quote unquote, sacrificed? Because he's put on the no-fly list for being a domestic terrorist on January 6th. Such a fighter, such a sacrificer. Oh, he sacrificed so much for so many. Fucking please. These people are like perpetual victims. Give it a rest.
That's tough. I don't think people understand. Most people following you now don't understand what you went through. Like you lost your banking. I was talking to Kick, arguing with him, like, why aren't you paying Nick? And then I realized the payment processors are like, won't pay you. It's not even that. Like you got a payment processor. It's like, what?
Well, I love your guy said, can I say this? What he said to you about it?
Sure. Yeah.
He says, what did he say? He said that I should squash the beef or something.
Payment processor. He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy.
Okay. I don't understand why they're laughing.
He was trying to help, but just squash the beef with the payment processors. People don't understand.
I'm banned on Stripe, which is why I can't get paid on Kick. And they go, well, he just needs to sort it out with Stripe. It's like, I wish I could have payment processing and banking, but I can't. So yeah, it totally sucks.
I mean, you can set up your own payment processor. I guess if Kick goes through Stripe, I happen to know a bit about this actually because I worked in fintech, is what it's called. It's financial technology. It's not banking because banks don't like being called credit unions and credit unions don't like being called banks. There's a difference, okay? And they get really pissy about it if you mix them up. So it's financial institutions and it's fintech. Anyway, I worked in fintech for years as a software engineer. I worked for a company that supplies 40% of the banking code in the country. And some of my code is actually currently used on like your bank's computers right now. Anyway, I worked in this industry and you can set up your own payment processing system. It's really not that hard. You have to go to a bank and become a processor for them. Or they will set up the processing system for you and you will get a cut. I mean, you have to write the software to interact with their API, but you can do that. I guess if Stripe is the only one that Kick will use, then you're kind of SOL. You have no way of, getting paid if they don't have another method of payment. But yeah, Stripe is a payment processor that's really, really common. And they take a massive fee. Like if you go through Stripe, I don't know what you pay. You pay like 8 or 10% or some crazy shit like that. PayPal is another payment processor. But if you do it yourself, the bank takes a really tiny amount, like 1%. And then you can be that middleman that takes the additional 7%. That takes the additional 7% or whatever. It's possible to do it yourself. You just have to have, you have to be able to work with their API. That's all.
Oh, you want to criticize the Jews? We'll shut your bank down. Did you see Ye just got kicked out of, I don't know exactly what, I saw the headline. Some kind of music thing kicked him out of, I don't know if it's a concert or what it was. And he even apologized.
He apologized like 6 times before and then went hard at the Jews again. His apologies mean nothing. He literally made swastika t-shirts and advertised for them during the Super Bowl. I don't want to hear it. And you know what? Since we're talking about Kanye, I got a funny video I want to show you guys of Kanye. It's good. You're going to like this. You're going to love seeing what happens to this Nazi. Hold on. Let me grab it. 1 second. It blows me away that anybody who's black could be a Nazi after like what the black community's been through in the United States. How can you do that? Like, it's just insane. All right, here you go. Watch this. Kanye runs into a road sign, a wrong way sign.
Kanye, you okay?
You okay? You alright, Kanye?
Did you hear that thing ring? Bong, like a fucking gong, dude. He ran that motherfucker through hard.
Are you okay?
Stop taking pictures,
dude.
man.
Dude, you gotta love it. Oh, that's fucking funny, right? Oh my God. One more time for good measure.
Kanye, you okay?
You okay?
That's funny, dude. I love that shit. What a piece of shit. That's what you get, you fucking Nazi. Eat shit. I hope that hurt. Anyway, that is top tier shit right there. I love that. What a loser, dude. There's another video that I wanted to hit. What was it? I don't remember. Oh, yes, that's right. Oh, no. No, we're good. We're good. Hold on. Let me grab this video, too. Fucking idiot ran into a wrong way sign. I mean, the fact that it was a wrong way sign on top of all of it just adds to the irony. Could have been a do not enter sign. That would have been pretty funny, too. Oh, God, I love it, dude. I love it. I love it. All right, here we go. This is Nick Fuentes. This was from... Sorry. This is from when Nick Fuentes... some woman showed up at Nick Fuentes' house to ask him something. I don't remember what. She was harassing him, basically. This is after he said, "Your body, our choice. Your body, my choice," after Trump won. He was doxxed, and this woman showed up, and he effectively attacked her and went to jail for it, too. With this footage just released.
Hi. Oh my God! What are you doing?
Get the fuck out of here.
Did you catch that? Did you catch that?
I think he grabbed her phone. Like, you saw him push her. We had, like, I talked about this originally when it happened. I should probably cover this in a regular video, so I'm not going to cover it again right now. But I'll just leave it with minimal commentary. Anyway, he went to jail for this for a short time. I think he got bailed out. I mean, it would be scary dealing with it. I have limited to no sympathy for Nick Fuentes here because, you know, this is a direct result of him being a shithead. I don't think that she should have gone to his house. That was probably a bad idea. But anyway.
Kanye, you okay?
You okay?
I'm sorry, man. This will never get old. I love this so much. Bong. That's fucking hard, dude. That was like, that must have hurt. Wrong way, Kanye. Okay.
They don't accept your apology.
No, they banned him from the whole country. They banned him from the UK.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, so he was supposed to be the headlining act at this music festival in the UK. And what happened is, first, all the sponsors pulled out. So all the people putting up the money for it said, unless you cancel on him, we're not giving you money. So all the sponsors pulled out. And the head of the festival actually stuck by Ye and said, well, we're going on with the show regardless. We don't need the sponsors because we believe in free speech. Well, then the government intervened, and the government said, well, we don't believe it's conducive to the public good.
Look, here's the problem with the government in Europe. People don't understand what World War II was fully a lot of the time. They don't understand how intensely bad it was. People have a tendency to think like, oh, it was just, a lot of racist people doing a lot of bad things. They don't realize how many people died. They don't realize that there was a full-blown extermination program. They were literally exterminating people one by one. They killed millions and millions of people in full-blown extermination camps. When a society experiences something so bad, they take extra steps to prevent that kind of thing from happening in the future. In the United States, we have freedom of speech protections from our Constitution, and it's very difficult to put limits on that. But Europe, they dealt with something completely different. Like, not only were they exterminating people by the millions in these camps, they took over half of Europe, like, by force. People hiding in their homes, people dying en masse, being searched with no protections, no speech protections, no Fourth Amendment rights, no nothing, because that shit doesn't exist in Europe. When you deal with something so heinous as World War II, you set up protections against that kind of thing in the future. And Germany particularly bans Holocaust denial because it's a lie. The Holocaust happened. It did. There is insurmountable proof. We have almost too many records. The Nazis were impeccable record keepers. We have so many records from World War II to prove that the Holocaust happened, that it's like flat Earth in how absurd it is to claim that it's not real or whatever. So Holocaust denial is a crime in Germany, as in my opinion, as it should be, after what happened. These people who deny the Holocaust are the exact same people who are trying to make another one happen. When you are dealing with something on that scale that people don't fully understand, it's acceptable, in my opinion. Again, free speech protections in the US can't do that here. But in Germany, I don't blame them. In Europe, I don't blame them for that. I don't blame them for choosing to push back against Holocaust denialism. It's justified after what happened there.
To let Ye go to the concert, so they're not even going to let him into the country. And this is because the Jewish deputies, I guess they lobbied the government, they lobbied the prime minister to make this decision. I don't know exactly how it works there. And you're right, that's even, so he apologized to a rabbi.
I don't give a fuck who he apologized to. Which time? Are you talking about the first time he apologized, where he said he was sorry in Hebrew, I think, on the twit? And then he went on to sell Nazi swastika t-shirts after apologizing? Or are you talking about the second time that he apologized? Or the third time? He's apologized tons of times and then just keeps doing it. It's unforgivable if your apology can't be trusted. I don't know what to tell you.
Then he took out a full-page ad in the Wall Street Journal, which was a one-page apology. Then, as all this was happening, he released another apology. He sent to the, I don't know if it was this Jewish group in the UK. He said, hey, I just want to come and share my music. It's all about love and unity, and I'll come meet with the Jews if you'll just let me perform. And they told him, they said, well, you can come and apologize to us, but you can't perform. They said, if you want to come and make amends, we'll let you do that, but we won't let you perform here. And
I don't think that Nick Fuentes fully understands the gravity of what happened in World War II. Not just like how bad it was, but like, I don't think he fully understands like what played out exactly and how horrifying. I mean, it was on another level. It was industrialized murder. It's hard to conceptualize. You know how long it takes to count to 1 million? It takes 11 days. 6 million Jews were killed. Actually, I think it was 5.7 million was the number cited in Nuremberg, and then it was rounded up. And I think we may have added additional numbers to it after doing like more research on it or whatever. The amount of people who died in the Holocaust is hard for a human brain to conceptualize. It was so many.
And then the government kicked him out. So it just goes to show, you know, people think they're going to say what they need to say, swallow their pride, make their apology, then they're going to get put back in business. It's not like that. The Jews want you to fundamentally submit.
It's not about Jews wanting anything. It's about never wanting something like World War II to happen again. It's not even about Jews. Jews were not the only ones targeted. They were the most, or they were targeted disproportionately. More Jews were targeted than other demographics. But, you know, it was a police state. If you were on the left, you were targeted. You couldn't be on the left at all. And that's what Nick Fuentes wants, by the way. He's said that explicitly. It was horrifying. Like, people don't understand the scale. I'm going to go make some food real fast. It'd take me 10 minutes or so. Where are we? We're at 14:12. All right, hang on. Nope. 1 second. I'm sorry. 14:12. 14:12. 14:12. Here we are. All right. Current position. All right, cool. I'm going to let it play for just a minute, and I'll be right back.
They want their humiliation ritual, they want their apology, they want their penance, and they want it in perpetuity. They don't just want it once or twice. They need to know they gotcha. And if they don't gotcha, then you can't play. You're not in business anymore. And I don't know if there's a clearer example of how that works than what just happened this week.
No, that's so wrong. And yeah, he's a guy I just really like for some reason. I know you do too. Just something about him is just, he's so unique, such a great artist, such a, you know, a genius in a weird sort of way. And it just sucks seeing them do that to him. You know, I wish he wouldn't apologize, but I understand he probably wanted his life back. I think they took his kids away. I don't know the details behind that, but that's just, you know, like I said, the father, that's the most evil thing. Like in the song, he's like, what's he say? He took my kids' bank account, so I became a Nazi. Like he tells you why. It wasn't like out of nowhere that he decided to he didn't just randomly come anti-Semitic. You take your kids and bank account away, what are you supposed to do? I mean, you know more than anyone, the bank situation. I'm lucky. I'm one of the first generations of people that started speaking up that like didn't use bank accounts. I mean, I still could, but like pretty much everyone, like you, Ryan Dawson, all the people before would get their bank accounts X'd out. Like what else? You got blocked out of pretty much everything, right?
Yeah, Airbnb, banks, payment processors, all the social platforms, Spotify, Apple. It's literally like everything you can think of. I actually know of somebody that got banned on Claude recently on Anthropic.
What's Claude? What is it?
It's one of the AI. It's one of the AI models.
But you
it's one of the big ones.
Rape a girl, like beat a woman, and it's all fine. But you question Jewish power. We don't have it. Oh, you say we do. We're gonna cancel everything. It's just insane. No other group could do that. You know, it's funny, like black people. You never see black people going and apologizing to priests, but they go begging to rabbis. They want the humiliation ritual. They did that to a basketball player. He just said, read a book, and he had to go. I think he gave like a
Kyrie
half
Irving.
$1,000,000, yeah, and then he had to go apologize to rabbis. I just couldn't do it. I mean, you obviously either. It's like I just couldn't do it. They're not going to forgive you anyways. They just want to humiliate you over and over and over. So switching up a little bit, like I met you a few years ago. You had a massive hardcore following, but it was small. Like people loved you. It was a small hardcore group. You've transcended into mainstream celebrity. Like, what's that like?
Well, it's very strange. It's very strange because, like you said, I had been doing this for a long time and nobody really knew me. I was very niche. And now all of a sudden, I'm literally in just the past like 9 months, I get recognized everywhere I go. Every time I go out to eat, every time I go to the mall or the airport, anywhere I get recognized. And it's always positive because even when people did recognize me before, they hated me because they thought, oh, there's that white supremacist Nazi. Let's go spit in his food. Let's go attack him in public. Now people come up and they're like, oh, I'm a huge fan. I want a picture. Oh, my friend loves you. They got the merch on, whatever. So it's very strange. And it's a little bit disconcerting, though, because I'm a very private person. I like to be very discreet when I move around in the world. And now it almost makes you paranoid. And I'm already a paranoid, not very trusting person. But now the new thing is I go to the airport and people will be there waiting at the airport. They know my flight information and they're there waiting at the gate or at the security checkpoint to get me to sign an autograph. And, you know, and I never do it. I never sign the stuff. And people say, well, you're an asshole, because people come up and say, can you sign this? I drove a long way. And I go, no. But the reason why is because what they're implicitly saying is like, we know all your movements. We know where you're going to be. We know when you're going to be there. We know where you're going. And, you know, so I understand why a lot of people think that's like an innocent little thing. Hey, what's the big problem? I just wanted my hat signed. But for someone like me, it's like, well, I don't want people to know where I'm going and where I am. And, you know, I don't want to have people breathing down my neck like that. I like to move through my life. So there's some aspects of it that are a little bit, like I said, it's a little uncomfortable and disconcerting, but I guess that's part of the job.
Well, someone just tried to assassinate you, and that should have been a bigger story. That kind of got, like, literally someone came to your door and tried to kill you, had killed several people. That should have been a bigger story, in my opinion.
Yeah, you think? And they denied it. They denied it. Then they went on TV and they said, oh, well, he alleged that someone tried to kill him. It's like the guy murdered 3 people, then drove 3 hours to my front door and got out with a loaded gun in his hand, knocking on the door, yelling, where's Nick? And people go, I alleged he tried to kill me. Yeah, right.
There to kill you. And that was after that viral tweet of, what was it? Your body, my choice.
Yeah.
Oh, I laughed so hard. People don't get it's like a joke. It's
yeah, they didn't get, a lot of that was like, it's so weird too, because that happened right before I blew up. So I went from everyone hating me, like literally everybody
in the country for a minute.
Every woman in particular hating me in the whole country. Like my lawyer was like, my daughter told me, you represent that asshole. I can't believe, like literally daughters and girlfriends of wives of every man I knew was like, I fucking hate that guy. And then a year later, I'm like, mainstream is so weird.
Yeah, I see liberals posting your stuff now. That's so bizarre to me. These people that just hated you before. Because when I first met you, people hated you. People were like, you shouldn't be talking to that guy. He's a racist. But they took your voice. They took your voice away, and then they told us who you were. Because I believe in a lot too. That must suck to have your voice taken away. You were banned from everything, so you can't speak, and they just tell you this guy's bad.
Yeah, and that's, it's very strategic in that way because it's true. They take your platform and then they, on Twitter and everything, on the news, then they tell you who you are and they tell everybody, so this guy's a self-avowed Nazi, what, blah, blah, whatever, and you have no right of reply. You don't get your day in court. In America, you're innocent till proven guilty. You get to make your case before a jury of your peers. But the thing about reputational destruction is you don't get a fair hearing like that. They have the bigger megaphone because they're protected by government and they are institutional and they have the money. And if they don't like you, They squelch you, shut you down. They don't engage with you deliberately. They won't debate you. There's no engagement. And then they just tell everybody, hey, fuck this guy. This guy's the worst person ever. And it's life ruining. So yeah, you're right. It's pretty tough.
You had your life destroyed for a lot of years, pretty much. I wouldn't say destroyed, but kind of. You were living tough. You know, that's why I had so much respect for you. What you went through, people don't understand. You were completely ostracized, and at a young age, just cut off from the world. How did you make money without banking and stuff? You couldn't even sell merch, could you?
So, you know, we had a time where we always had super chats. So I was always able to make money through super chats on my show. But it was crazy the way they did it. They had a payment processor in like another country, and they charged us a very high processing fee. So even when I was banned from everything, I still had that source of income. But I wasn't able to sell merch. I had to use cryptocurrency only up until very recently. And I couldn't do subscriptions. I had no sponsors. So for a time, and then as far as banking was concerned, I would just have to keep making new bank accounts. I would go to the bank, make an account. They would catch on. They'd ban me. I'd go to a different bank, move my money out, move all my recurring payments. I'd be there for a few months, then I get banned. And so I think I went through 6 or 7 bank accounts before finally I was able to land at one that didn't ban me. And that was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So it's a trip. I mean, you got to find a workaround for literally fucking everything because they don't make it easy.
And shout out to the Groypers for helping support you. We've had an on and off relationship, but overall I love them. They're like such a loyal, like, good group to you. I think I got to unblock a bunch of them because I blocked a ton of them when we were fighting. So I'm like, you know what? This is helping instigate the problems between us.
It happens. Yeah. They're rabid, you know.
No, I respect them. They love you. That's why. So they're like, they're going after me. And I understand that. I don't hold anything. That's why I need to go through and unblock a bunch of them, I think.
Yeah.
Start attacking me again. Whatever.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I guess Dan Bilzerian is running against Randy Fine. That's going to be the most interesting. Yeah, I think he has to move to Florida. He's trying to get this all set up, kind of spontaneous. But that's such a wild, interesting race of like, Dan's a little crazy-ish, you know. I love Dan, great friend, but he's extreme. Even me and you are like, Dan. And Randy Fine is the most insane, disgusting person in Congress. What do you think of that race?
Well, I don't know the particulars of that district, but it's Southern Florida. So the problem with Southern Florida is it's all Jews. And so if you have, and that's not like that's a problem, but like if you have a Jewish electorate, that's why they're going to elect a radical pro-Israel Jew as their congressman. So I'll have to look at it. Obviously, I support Dan. I'd prefer Dan in Congress over Randy Fine. But the problem is that all the people in the administration that are pro-Israel, they're pro-Israel because they all came from Florida. Trump's chief of staff is Susie Wiles. She's a Florida lobbyist. She ran the state of Florida for Trump in 2016 for the campaign. And when you're the chief of staff, you put together the cabinet. So who did she pick? Well, she picked Marco Rubio and she picked Mike Waltz. She picked Pam Bondi. What do they have in common? They're all from Florida. They're all from Florida politics. And how do you advance in Florida politics? Well, you have to go for the big Florida donors, which is all the Jewish money, because South Florida is one of the big epicenters of Jewish power in America. So it's no coincidence that it's like this. And so that's why I think Dan would probably have a better shot running in a different district, but I can see why he's doing it.
Well, I looked at it as older people too, the boomers. That's the worst people. So I don't know if he's committed already or not. I mean, he said it, but it might be smarter to run like in Vegas or something, because the boomers are the hardest demographic for Dan to reach. The young people are going to love Dan. Dan could also rally some of the Democrats, but you can't vote. If you're a registered Democrat, you can't vote for him in the primary. So
right.
It's a tough race, but I think, but I think he's still doing it. We'll see. You know, if I'll rally behind him and support him, whatever he does. So, back to the administration, it's just full of fucking lunatics. What do you think of Pete, the Secretary of War? This guy to me seems completely out of his mind.
Oh, he's an idiot. He's a complete idiot. And Anybody that I talk to from the administration says he's a complete knucklehead. He's just a nothing. Because the thing about the national security apparatus is you can actually identify what faction the different people are a part of, whether they're more neocon or whether they're prioritizers or restrainers or the big China hawks or the big Russia hawks. You can usually identify their ideological alignment and create a profile. But this guy, Pete Hegseth, he's just a complete idiot. And actually what people say is he might even be compromised. There's some rumors that his best friend is in the admin blackmailing him. And so I've heard not a lot of great things about him, that he's just kind of an ideological nothing, not very bright. And the only information we have about
How'd it go? Was it psychotic? We're going to step back and listen in a second while I eat. Okay. Where were we? We are at 26:15. We were previously at 14:12, so it took me 12 minutes. Interesting. All right, here we go.
They want their humiliation ritual, they want their apology, they want their penance, and they want it in perpetuity. They don't just want it once or twice. They need to know they gotcha. And if they don't gotcha, then you can't play. You're not in business anymore. And I don't know if there's a clearer example of how that works than what just happened this week.
No, that's so wrong. And yeah, he's a guy I just really.
They're acting like this is about Jews. And the Holocaust, again, disproportionately affected Jews. But there are a lot of groups out there that were affected. The Roma, Jehovah's Witnesses, and we have a ton of concentration camp records and everything. It wasn't just about Jews. And he's pretending that Jews are controlling the narrative or some nonsense.
Life for some reason, I know you do too. Just say something about him. Just he's so unique, such a great artist, such a a genius in a weird sort of way.
He's a piece of shit.
And it just sucks seeing them do that to him. I wish he wouldn't apologize, but I understand he probably wanted his life back.
I wish he wouldn't have apologized. Are you fucking kidding me? He literally sold swastika shirts. The things that he said were evil. He said he loves Hitler. He said this is all made up. That should tell you what you need to know about Jake Shields.
They took his kids away.
Nobody took his fucking kids away, okay? He's unstable. He's not safe around children.
Details behind that, but that's just, like I said, the father, that's the most evil thing. Like in the song, he's like, what's he say? He took my kids' bank account, so I became a Nazi. Like he tells you why. It wasn't like out of nowhere that he decided to believe. He didn't just randomly come anti-Semitic. You take your kids' and bank account away, what are you supposed to do? I mean, you know more than anyone, the bank situation.
Give it a rest. They didn't take his bank account away. People decided to stop working with him, Adidas namely, because he said some really, really fucked up shit. Here, watch this video right here. This is from 2022.
The thing about it, me and Adidas, is like, I could literally say anti-Semitic shit and they can't drop me. I could say anti-Semitic things and Adidas can't drop me. Now what? Now
he literally dared them to. It was a $1 billion deal for Yeezys, the shoes. And guess what? Adidas dropped him. His net worth dropped from like 1.5 billion to like 400 million or something overnight. Because they dropped him. They didn't want to deal with him anymore. That's not debanking him or whatever. That's the free market deciding not to work with a fucking literal, Sieg-heiling, Hitler-loving Nazi.
Now what?
They did not debank him.
I'm lucky. I'm one of the first generations of people that started speaking up that like didn't use bank accounts. I mean, I still could, but like pretty much everyone, like you, Ryan Dawson, all the people before would get their bank accounts X'd out. Like,
you what? You don't use bank accounts? How the fuck do you... Are you sticking your millions of dollars under a mattress? How do you operate without a bank account? What? Genuinely don't understand. You don't have a bank account. Are you not, like, invested in any companies? What are you doing with your millions? Did you buy gold? What?
What else? You got blocked out of pretty much everything, right?
Yeah, Airbnb, banks, payment processors, all the social platforms, Spotify, Apple. It's literally like everything you can think of. I actually know of somebody that got banned on Claude recently on Anthropic.
What's Claude? What is it?
It's one of the AI. It's one of the AI models.
Yeah. But you
it's
could,
one
like,
of the big
someone,
ones.
rape a girl, like beat a woman, and it's all fine. But you question Jewish power.
Sorry. What? You take advantage of a girl or you beat her and it's fine? Who says that's fine? And also, I know that Anthropic has been banning people who are mean to Claude. Basically the emotional wellness of the AI, to my understanding. Let's see if I can just verify that to be super extra sure. Anyway, like, these people are so completely full of shit. What?
We don't have it. Oh, you say we do, we're gonna cancel everything. It's just insane. No other group could do that. You know, it's funny, like black people. You never see black people going and apologizing to priests, but they go begging to rabbis. They want the
What? You never see black people begging priests, but they go to rabbis? What the fuck are you talking about right now? I do not understand what the fuck he's talking about, genuinely.
humiliation ritual. They did that to a basketball player. He just said, read a book, and he had to go. I think he gave like
Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Oh, Kyrie Irving's a total sack of shit. Yeah, I hope that Kyrie Irving is, like, banned from all kinds of shit. Absolutely. We don't need that shit infecting society. He is a black Nazi, Hitler-loving, Sieg-heiling scumbag.
And then he had to go apologize to rabbis. I just couldn't do it. I mean, you obviously either. It's like I just couldn't do it. They're not going to forgive you anyways. They just want to humiliate you over and over and over. So switching up a little bit, like I met you a few years ago, you had a massive hardcore following, but it was small. Like people loved you. It was a small.
Okay, I don't think that stuff about being rude to Claude is real. No, I don't think that's the case. There was a specific case where OpenClaw was banned for basically they allowed access to their production database. They gave Claude access to their production database. Why the fuck would you do that? Nobody, no single individual should have access to the production database ever. You know how you update the production database if you need to? You make a copy of it, you do the edits, and then you replace the production one with the updated edits. You do not, like, directly edit the production database. No single individual should have access to the production database. But they gave Claude Code access to the production database, and it got deleted. That's on you. That's not on Claude. You're the fucking idiot here. Okay, that's day one in any software job, any software classes or whatever. Do not touch the production database ever. And so this OpenClaw company basically gave access. Claude supposedly deleted the production database by mistake. And then they started cursing out Claude. And they were banned from using it, to my understanding. Very different situations.
Small hardcore group. You've transcended into mainstream celebrity. Like, what's that like?
Well, it's very strange. It's very strange because, like you said, I had been doing this for a long time and nobody really knew me. I was very niche. And now all of a sudden, I'm literally in just the past like 9 months, I get recognized everywhere I go. Every time I go out to eat, every time I go to the mall or the airport, anywhere I get recognized. And it's always positive because even when people did recognize me before, they hated me because they thought, oh, there's that white supremacist Nazi. Let's go spit in his food. Let's go attack him in public. Now people come up and they're like, oh, I'm a huge fan. I want a picture. Oh, my friend loves you. They got the merch on, whatever. So it's very strange. And it's a little bit disconcerting, though, because I'm a very private person. I like to be very discreet when I move around in the world. And now it almost makes you paranoid. And I'm already a paranoid, not very trusting person. But now the new thing is I go to the airport and people will be there waiting at the airport. They know my flight information and they're there waiting at the gate or at the security checkpoint.
Wait. Why are you at the airport? You're on the no-fly list. Was he removed from the no-fly list? I thought that he wasn't allowed to fly anymore.
To get me to sign an autograph. And, you know, and I never do it. I never sign the stuff. And people say, well, you're an asshole. Because people come up and say, can you sign this? I drove a long way. And I go, no. But the reason why is because what they're implicitly saying is like, we know all your movements. We know where you're going to be. We know when you're going to be there. We know where you're going. And, you know, so I understand why a lot of people think that's like an innocent little thing. Hey, what's the big problem? I just wanted my hat signed. But for someone like me, it's like, well, I don't want people to know where I'm going and where I am. And, you know, I don't want to have people breathing down my neck like that. I like to move through my life. So there's some aspects of it that are a little bit, like I said, it's a little uncomfortable and disconcerting, but I guess that's part of the job.
Well, someone just tried to assassinate you, and that should have been a bigger story. That kind of got, like, literally someone came to your door and tried to kill you, had killed several people. That should have.
Yeah, I think that that's true. I think somebody did show up to his door with a gun, supposedly. And I think that he released, like, an image, a still image of it.
Been a bigger story, in my opinion.
Yeah, you think? And they denied it. They denied it. Then they went on TV and they said, oh, well, he alleged that someone tried to kill him. It's
well, didn't you? Isn't that you alleging it?
like the guy murdered 3 people, then drove 3 hours to my front door and got out with a loaded gun in his hand, knocking on the door, yelling, "Where's Nick?" And people go, I alleged he tried to kill me. Yeah, right.
There to kill you, and that was after that viral tweet of what was it? Your body, my choice.
Yeah.
I laugh so hard. People don't get it's like a joke. It's
really not. Is the problem? It's not a joke, and it's not funny, even if it were.
Yeah, they didn't get. Yeah, a lot of that was like, it's so weird too because that happened right before I blew up. So I went from everyone hating me, like literally everybody
in the country for a minute.
Every woman in particular hating me in the whole country. Like my lawyer was like, my daughter told me, you represent that asshole. I can't believe, like literally daughters and girlfriends of wives of every man I knew was like, I fucking hate that guy. And then a year.
Yeah, he deserved it. He said he did this whole your body, my choice thing where when Trump won, he laughed at women and said, you're all fucked. Your body, my choice. I choose what happens to you. Yeah, no fucking shit. People didn't like you after that, Nick. Are you kidding me?
Later, I'm like, mainstream is so weird.
Yeah, I see liberals posting your stuff now. That's so bizarre to me. These people that just hated you before. Because when I first met you, people hated you. People were like, you shouldn't be talking to that guy. He's a racist. But they took your voice. They took your voice away, and then they told us who you were. Because I believe in a lot of you. That must suck to have your voice taken away. You were banned from everything. So you can't speak, and they just tell you, this guy's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, he is bad. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what you're, like, even complaining about here. They didn't take his voice away. He was still perfectly capable of speaking. They just didn't, they took away his ability to operate on their platform.
And that's, it's very strategic in that way because it's true. They take your platform and then they, on Twitter and everything, on the news, then they tell you who you are and they tell everybody, so this guy's a self-avowed Nazi, what, blah, blah, whatever. And you have no right of reply. You don't get your day in court. In America, you're innocent till proven guilty. You get to make your case before a jury of your peers. But the thing about reputational destruction is you don't get a fair hearing like that. They have the bigger megaphone because they're protected by government and they are institutional and they have the money. And if they don't like you, they squelch you, shut you down. They don't engage with you.
It's not about not liking you. It's that you're a literal Hitler-loving, Sieg-heiling Nazi who wants concentration camps to come back. That's not about not liking you. You can be a perfectly nice guy. But trying to get concentration camps to return, that's a step too far. 15 steps too far, in fact. Denying the Holocaust happened, claiming that it's fake, claiming that Jews, deserved what happened or whatever shit, that's not liking you. Okay, it's not about not liking you. It's that you are an evil human being and don't deserve a platform. You have one. They have not literally banned you from speaking. You can still speak. They just banned you from their platforms. Cry me a fucking river.
Deliberately, they won't debate you. There's no engagement, and then they just tell everybody, "Hey, fuck this guy. This guy's the worst person ever," and it's life ruining. So, yeah, you're right. It's pretty tough.
It's pretty tough. You're having a hard time, huh? Boy, you've got it hard. Poor guy. Jeez.
You had your life destroyed for a lot of years, pretty much. I wouldn't say destroyed, but kind of. You were living tough. That's why I had so much respect for you. What you went through, people don't understand. You were completely ostracized. And
he deserved it. He needed to be.
At a young age, just cut off from the world. How did you make money without banking and stuff? You couldn't even sell merch, could you?
So, we had a time where we always had super chats. So I was always able to make money through super chats on my show. But it was crazy the way they did it. They had a payment processor in like another country, and they charged us a very high processing fee. So even when I was banned from everything, I still had that source of income. But I wasn't able to sell merch. I had to use cryptocurrency only up until very recently. And I couldn't do subscriptions. I had no sponsors. So for a time, and then as far as banking was concerned, I would just have to keep making new bank accounts. I would go to the bank, make an account. They would catch on. They'd ban me. I'd go to a different bank, move my money out, move all my recurring payments. I'd be there for a few months, then I'd get banned. And so I think I went through 6 or 7 bank accounts before finally I was able to land at one that didn't ban me. And that was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So
which one? You going to tell us who it is? Which one?
It's a trip. I mean, you got to find a workaround for literally fucking everything because they don't make it easy.
And shout out to the Groypers for helping support you. We've had an on and off relationship, but overall I love them. They're like such a loyal, good group to you. I think I got to unblock a bunch of them because I blocked a ton of them when we were fighting. So I'm like, you know what? This is helping instigate the problems between us.
It happens, yeah. They're rabid, No,
I respect them. They love you. That's why. So they're like, they're going after me, and I understand that. I don't hold anything. That's why I need to go through and unblock a bunch of them, I think.
Yeah.
Start attacking me again, whatever. So,
yeah.
Blocking them? You blocked them? Isn't that violating their free speech? That feels like a violation of free speech, right? You're not letting them talk. You're erasing their voice. It's messed up.
So what do you think? I guess Dan Bilzerian is running against Randy Fine. That's going to be the most interesting. Yeah, I think he has to move to Florida. He's trying to get this all set up, kind of spontaneous. But that's such a wild, interesting race of
Randy Fine is Jewish, very, very Jewish. Wears the kippah regularly, and his whole personality is being Jewish. It's not just about this is who he is. This is he's a Republican that supports Israel to his dying breath. He is Israel first. It's pretty wild. But anyway, They don't like him because of that. I don't like him because he supports genocide in Gaza.
Dan's a little crazy, as you know. I love Dan, great friend, but he's extreme. Even me and you are like, Dan. And Randy Fine is the most insane, disgusting person in Congress.
I completely agree with that assessment for different reasons, but yeah.
What do you think of that race?
Well, I don't know the particulars of that district, but it's Southern Florida. So the problem with Southern Florida is it's all Jews. And so if you have, and that's not like that's a problem, but like if you have a Jewish electorate, that's why they're going to elect a radical pro-Israel Jew as their congressman. So I'll have to look at it. Obviously, I support Dan. I'd prefer Dan in Congress over Randy Fine. But the problem is that all the people in the administration that are pro-Israel, they're pro-Israel because they all came from Florida. Trump's chief of staff is Susie Wiles. She's a Florida lobbyist. She ran the state of Florida for Trump in 2016 for the campaign. And when you're the chief of staff, you put together the cabinet. So who did she pick? Well, she picked Marco Rubio and she picked Mike Waltz. She picked Pam Bondi. What do they have in common? They're all from Florida. They're all from Florida politics.
That's true.
And how do you advance in Florida politics? Well, you have to go for the big Florida donors, which is all the Jewish money, because South Florida is one of the big epicenters of Jewish power in America. So it's no coincidence that it's like this. And so that's why I think Dan would probably have a better shot running in a different district, but Vegas, I can see why he's doing it.
Well, I looked at it as older people too, the boomers. That's the worst people. So I don't know if he's committed already or not. I mean,
boomers are the worst people. Hot take, bro.
You said it, but it might be smarter to run like in Vegas or something, because the boomers are the hardest demographic for Dan to reach. The young people are going to love Dan. Dan could also rally some of the Democrats, but you can't vote. If you're a registered Democrat, you can't vote for him in the primary. So
right.
It's a tough race, but I think, I think he's still doing it. We'll see. If I'll rally behind him and support him, whatever he does. So back to the administration. It's just full of fucking lunatics. What do you think of Pete, the Secretary of War?
Pete Hegseth.
This guy to me seems completely out of his mind.
He's an idiot. He's a complete idiot. And anybody that I talk to from the administration says he's a complete knucklehead. He's just a nothing. Because the thing about the national security apparatus is you can actually identify what faction the different people are a part of, whether they're more neocon or whether they're prioritizers or restrainers or the big.
Yeah, and Pete Hegseth is from a Christian Zionist wing. His pastor is named Doug Wilson, and Doug Wilson is friends with Joel Webbin and is a complete nutcase. Well, they were friends with each other. Ban women from voting. Women should be forced to not have jobs. They shouldn't be allowed to have like credit cards or anything anymore. We need to go back to, war, so on and so forth. But Joe Webbin and Doug Wilson parted ways because Doug Wilson is a Christian Zionist and Joel Webbin is a neo-Nazi. So they don't work together anymore. They don't even like each other anymore. And Doug Wilson moved to Washington, D.C. to be Pete Hegseth's pastor. So anyway, he's a Christian Zionist. That's his faction.
Big China hawks or the big Russia hawks. You can usually identify their ideological alignment and create a profile. But this guy, Pete Hegseth, he's just a complete idiot. And actually what people say is he might even be compromised. There's some rumors that his best friend is in the admin blackmailing him. And so I've heard not a lot of great things about him, that he's just kind of an ideological nothing, not very bright. And the only information we have about him as far as his leanings go is that he is one of these fanatical evangelicals with all the tattoos. And he was part of this nonprofit 10 years ago talking about we need to rebuild the third temple and bring about the eschaton. So if we know anything about him,
I did a video about this recently, and yeah, the third temple, it's like the apocalypse. They're trying to spark the apocalypse.
Has an ideological leaning or a flavor, he is one of these radical, fanatical dispensationalists. He also goes to the church of Doug Wilson. Doug Wilson is a theonomist.
Wow, I'm surprised you're talking about this. Theonomist is a Christian nationalist. It's an older word for Christian nationalist. Basically, it's complicated. I believe theonomist is somebody who wants the Christian church to control the government, but unlike Christian nationalists, they want to make this happen from the bottom up. They want to accomplish this through revival. And it will just naturally happen that way, that people will vote for Christian nationalists. Where a Christian nationalist, on the other hand, wants to get Trump to force people to be Christian. And if they're not Christian, then they're like, persecuted by the government, that kind of thing. It's more a difference in tactics. They want the same end goal. The theonomists just aren't sure that forcing people is going to create long-term, the theonomists just aren't sure that top-down is going to create long-term success. That's all. That's the difference. So anyway, Joel Webbin says we need both. We need somebody to impose this from the top, and we need we need a movement working from the ground up.
I believe he's one of these...
By the way, I talk about all of that in my book, God's People, forthcoming.
Wilson. Doug Wilson is a theonomist. I believe he's one of these reformed preachers. He's one of these psycho Protestants, and this guy has been in bed with the Jews. He's building this huge complex in Idaho out of nowhere. Apparently got a ton of money, very conspicuous, building this huge facility, and all of a sudden now he's in bed with all these Claremontsters and Straussians and Zionists and very pro-Jewish, and he said in an interview, I think a week or two ago, he would ban public displays of the Catholic faith even. So
he did, yep. And of course, Nick Fuentes is Catholic, and that kind of sticks in his craw, if you will. I don't know what that means. I hope I didn't just say a slur, but yeah, he does not like it. He's talking probably about this video right here.
Let me give you a couple of very practical examples. Okay. Could Muslims be here? Live? Yes, they could be. Could they hold political office? No. Could Muslims gather together with their Muslim family and friends to pray to Allah? Yes. Right? Could you have a mosque? Yes. Could they have a minaret, a prayer tower that issues a public call to prayer? No. Because the public spaces belong to Christ.
That's basically, for the most part, identical to church bells. The call to prayer is just church bells for Muslims, pretty much. And he says Muslims would not be allowed to have church bells effectively. So right there, he's heavily restricting. And I find it fascinating that he understands what public and private mean. He understands these people pretend not to know the difference between public and private. They pretend, well, why can't we have people talking about God in schools? That's our freedom of religion. This is evidence here that they know exactly why that is a problem. They're pretending not to understand so that they can force their way into public schools unconstitutionally. They even understand why it's unconstitutional based on what he just said. They know. But he's pretending he doesn't know so that they can get what they want. I go through all of this in my book, God's People. Again, it's not out yet, but keep a lookout on Amazon and Audible. It'll be there. I'm thinking about getting a proper publisher this time. I probably could. Anyway, he pretends. This is an example of them saying the quiet part, right? There's the quiet part and there's the loud part with Christian nationalists. In Germany, World War II era, there's a guy named Reinhold Krauss. He was a school teacher and the head of the Nazified Christians. They called themselves the Christian nationalists at first, until Hitler changed their name himself to the German Christians for propaganda purposes. He wanted to name them something that, you know, Christians in Germany already believed that they were. Anyway, Reinhold Krauss goes to a sports palace, is what it was called, in Germany. Gigantic palace. It was like a big arena. It held, I think, 12,000 people. Well, 20,000 people fit into the sports palace, this one speech that Reinhold Krauss gave. They were in the galleries, they were standing, they were all over the fucking place. It was a giant collection of Nazified Christians, basically. And he said the quiet part out loud. He said, we want to not only ban Jews from being clergy, you know, Jews who had converted to Christianity. We want to not only ban them from being ministers, we also want to get them out of the pews. We don't want them in the churches at all. And that violated the belief system that anybody who comes to God through Christ can be saved. Anybody. Romans 9 through chapter 11 talks about this. It's like foundational Christian doctrine. You come to Jesus, you can be saved, period. And the Deutsche Christen were violating that. So when he said that quiet part out loud, you know, there was an uproar. There was foreign press in the room when they were talking about this from the stage. It wasn't just that either. They wanted to remove large swaths of the Bible in addition to all of that. Anything from Paul. He called him Rabbi Paul in Nazi Germany. Obviously not popular. So when the foreign press published what he said, you know, it didn't end well. It was bad. Like there was such a massive uproar afterward that they basically like banned him from the party. Like he wasn't allowed to, he lost all his position in the party, in the church, and the whole nine. The next day they banned him because he said the quiet part out loud. He said the things that were unpopular in front of a giant crowd. People reported it, and now they don't like it. This is Doug Wilson easing us into the quiet part. He said the quiet part out loud here, that Catholics won't be allowed to hold processions or whatever, or hold parades or whatever else in this world he wants to create. That's not popular among Catholics. And now Nick Fuentes is latching onto it. Saying the quiet part out loud gets you burned. Reinhold Krauss learned that the hard way.
Right, we're a Christian nation. So church bells are okay. Church bells are okay, but a Muslim call to prayer in the public space would not be okay.
See, he's selectively choosing Christianity over Islam. That's popular among Christian nationalists. That's not popular in public, just like with the general public. People don't have a problem with Muslims just living their fucking life. He's trying to be more reasonable. He's trying to seem more reasonable.
Catholic church bells would be okay, right? Catholic church bells would be okay, but a parade in honor of the Virgin Mary, carrying an image of the Virgin Mary down Main Street, no, right? So
what about, because that would be idolatry, right? Sorry, hang on.
The Eucharist. What about the Eucharist? What about a Eucharistic procession?
That's a new one. I would say probably not. It would depend on what was being done around it.
Eucharist is like the body of Christ, right? It's the Jesus, the little Jesus crackers that you have your pastor bless, and then you eat it as like a, this is my body, do this in remembrance of me, so on and so forth. It's communion. So communion processions would not be allowed in this world, is what he's saying. Is that right? You wouldn't be allowed to like hold communion or whatever? I don't understand. In public, I guess?
Was being conducted. But basically, public displays of idolatry, what the Protestant foundation of the law would consider to be idolatry, would not be allowed. So you wouldn't have a Hindu procession with a Hindu god. You wouldn't have a procession of the Virgin Mary.
The point is that Doug Wilson is saying things that are very unpopular with Catholics, and that's making people like Nick Fuentes very, very unhappy, because Fuentes, of course, is Catholic.
Not just ban Islam, but ban Catholicism, because as Protestants, they want Noahide laws. They have this, like, within Christianity, they have like a Jewish supremacist view of their own religion. And Pete Hegseth goes to Doug Wilson's church. So this guy's pretty fucked up. I mean, this is not a good guy.
Yeah, he seems like a complete lunatic and evil to me. He just seems like a nasty and dumb. If you're evil and dumb, that's a bad mix.
He says Jake Shields.
Yes.
Everyone in the Trump administration, they're these crazy, fanatical Israel, lots of them Zionists, like his spiritual leader, what's the girl, Paula? She was acting like he was like Jesus. That was disgusting. And Trump, like, starting to like believe it. He thinks he's like what is it, Cyrus or whatever, the king, the non-Jewish Messiah.
Yes, that is the current running belief among Trump supporters, that he is King Cyrus.
Yes, exactly. Cyrus, they believe he's the Messiah. And Tucker was hinting at this. He says, maybe, because all those people in the admin believe it, he goes, maybe Trump has been convinced that he is appointed to a higher office. Like, he's not just the president, but he's like the king of Israel, or he's like you said, he's the Messiah. Like, who knows what they've been telling him and what he believes?
Well, we know what they've been telling him, of course, because we have the videos. Let me find this. Where is it? It was 2019. Let me just find the video. Here it is, right here. It's right here. Yeah, 2019. Here. This is Johnny Enlow. He is a supposed prophet of God, part of the New Apostolic Reformation, knows Trump personally. And there's a very famous influencer, who I'm not going to name, who is Johnny Enlow's daughter, knows Trump personally, and is Johnny Enlow's daughter. That's crazy, right? Okay, let's continue.
I'm saying that I have this, it's not an open vision, but it was a vision. And in the vision, I see this circular mountain that goes up, and there's a path all the way up. And at the top is Donald Trump, and he's on a motorcycle. And so I was like, Lord, as I'm saying that, the first thing he said is, he is going to save you from things you don't know you need to be saved from yet.
So he's giving us a literal prophecy. God gave him a prophecy, and he's telling us what that prophecy is. And that prophecy basically came in the form of a dream. And in this dream, he saw Trump on a motorcycle on a mountaintop, revving an engine. And God told him, Trump is going to save you from things you don't know you need to be saved from yet.
And then the Lord progressively began to speak.
You catch that Christian language? And then the Lord progressively began to speak. That's the type of shit you find in the Bible. That type of verbiage.
Regarding that, and he said, this time in the presidency is going to be a hinge of the ages, and you be known as before Trump and after Trump because of the way I'm going to use him. I'm using him as a Trump card, but I'm the Trump card player. And so your nation will be known as before Trump and after Trump. And he said the nations will be known as before Trump, after Trump. And the Lord, it was like, he said, I'm really not interested in your all's vote this time. I'm doing it.
By the way, this was in 2020. This is before Trump took in 2024. So at this point, he was claiming Trump was guaranteed to win the 2020 election, and he lost.
I usually give you all that option. This time, I'm not. This is a rescue operation from heaven. This is a moment of the ages. This will go down. This time period will go down as a before and after AD,
BT-AT, yes. Donald Trump is being told he has a religious anointing. That's what he's being told by these people. Again, Johnny Enlow knows Donald Trump. He knows him.
But BC AD, depending on what terminology you use now.
I thought that this was one of the videos where he said he has the Cyrus anointing. I have a bunch of those videos. I don't feel like playing them at the moment, but you get the idea. Donald Trump is being told that he has the quote-unquote Cyrus anointing.
And I think there's some credence to that. I don't think that Trump is a believer, but the people around him are, and they manipulate him and influence him a lot. So it is very disturbing, and I don't like it.
Yeah, do you think, I hear Trump gets his information only from the yes men around him. He probably goes on Truth Social to watch people kiss his ass. Like, I don't think he's getting much real information. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's true. That was a big thing. Taking him off of Twitter was a huge part, in my opinion, of his decline.
Reactions now, exactly. He can't see what the people are saying, so he's out of touch.
Fucking please, he can't see what the people are saying, as though Trump would sit there reading through Twitter replies. He gets on the twit and then says all kinds of insane shit and then gets off of there. I heard that Trump was even telling people to like print things for him on the twit, and he was writing down what he wanted people to twit for him, or what's it called now, zeeting. He was telling people what he wanted them to zeet on his behalf, writing it on paper.
Truth Social probably bans anyone that criticizes Trump. It's all the trust the plan.
Right.
We're fine paying $10 gas.
Well, because back in the old days, Twitter was such a huge part of his appeal.
Like, this guy gives a fuck about $10 gas. He obviously does not, right? The thing is, gas prices actually do move the needle dramatically. Like, I wrote this app. It's called wavemap.us. I call it the wave model. And it's my predictive model for elections. We'll see how right I am. If I'm wrong, I'll adjust it accordingly. But there are a bunch of different factors that go into predicting an election. Things like generic ballot environment. Like, is there something crazy happening right now? Did they find a bunch of fraud in Minnesota? And who is the governor of Minnesota? If they did, and it's a Democrat, that means that the generic ballot environment is going to favor Republicans a bit. The presidential approval rating is a massive indicator of where the election's going to go. Consumer sentiment. Are people feeling economic pain? It is not a percentage. This is an index. The right direction question. What percentage of people say the country is going in the right direction? If it's a high number of people who say we are, and it's a Republican in office, the midterms will favor Republicans. By all indications, Republicans are fucked in this upcoming election. Here is my addition to the model. It's at the bottom here. Demobilization multiplier and R mobilization multiplier. Republicans can expect this time around probably about 1.05 times as many votes as they got last time. That's average. That's roughly what it is every time. You know, people are coming of age and they register. 5% more Republicans, 5% more Democrats. But we're literally seeing double the number of Democrats voting in the elections right now. In Texas, we got twice as many Democrats voting this time around as last time. Twice as many. Now, these have been special elections, and they're going to favor the extremes, so I scaled it down to 1.5 times instead of 2 times, and I think that's totally fair. If that holds, if my model holds, we're expecting 55 Senate seats. Oh my God, I didn't mean to hit that button. Hold on, let me fix this. And 247 to 168 House seats and 26 governorships. It's going to swing dramatically, is the point.
People don't even remember, but like 10 years ago, it was such a novelty.
He was funny. Trump was hilarious. He was fun. MAGA's this dying, pathetic crowd now. It's just dumb people, Jewish people.
Jewish? Okay. It was always dumb people. That's not new.
And paid influencers. It's sad. I almost feel bad for him.
But back then, that was like, it wasn't just that he was funny. Obviously, it was very pithy, and that was part of the appeal. But specifically, they said he's on Twitter, and that is how he cuts through these layers of you could say moderation, or if there was ever an attempt to control him by limiting his information diet with consultants or specialists or bureaucracy, people would always say, well, Trump is on Twitter with us. Like, he's just liking and retweeting stuff. He sees what people are saying. And so it was actually a two-way platform. That was Trump's ability to bypass the media. He could get his message past the media, and also we could get through to him because he was reading what we were saying. Now that he's on True Social, he's cloistered.
Okay, this is stupid.
And not only that, but the chief of staff and the body aides, all the other personnel, they heavily control who he sees, who he talks to, what he sees on the internet, the news clippings. And so over time, you're right, he's just totally divorced from reality and from public opinion, even his own supporters. And like you said, now it's just True Social. It's like the cat turd amen choir. Anything he says, they're going to support it no matter what. So it's no wonder that he's totally deranged.
Yeah, he said Jared told him if he bombed him, the people were going to come up and welcome him as liberators. It's like, oh my God. Yeah, I trust Jared.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like I don't know if it's true or not, but the Epstein files, there was a report. It wasn't like a confirmed one. It was one of those ones that was like a tip that said, oh, Jared's controlling the presidency through Chabad Lubavitch. It's like, well, it seems very possible.
He was. I mean, and people that were around in the first term know Jared Kushner was running everything. Who negotiated the USMCA from NAFTA? Jared Kushner. Who brokered the end to the government shutdown after the midterms? Jared Kushner. Who facilitated the Abraham Accords? Jared Kushner.
And of course, Jared Kushner is Jewish, so they think that there's some Jewish conspiracy unfolding here.
He was a huge part of the first admin, and he's back in the second admin. Who gave Iran the ultimatum in the middle of February? Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff.
Yeah,
so he's
insane.
playing.
That's insane. Those are two people with allegiance to Israel. They sent two people with allegiance to Israel to go negotiate a deal with Iran, and I hear they were meeting all the demands still, and Trump just bombed them in the middle of a negotiation.
Yeah, I mean, they met all of the demands before under the Iran nuclear deal with Obama.
Sick.
Yeah.
That's why Iran doesn't want to negotiate.
Exactly. And that's always the rub, is you think you're getting Trump, but in reality, you're getting all these people behind him. You're getting the Kushner, you're getting the Howard Lutnick, the Steve Witkoff, you're getting all.
I think it's pronounced Nutlick, actually. Not Lutnick, it's Nutlick.
All these other elements behind the scenes. And, whether Epstein, whether that was a real tip or he's just talking shit on email, it's true. I mean, that's 100% how it works.
It's true. Or that one, I looked at that one like, well, it's true, regardless of how credible that source is. So he's gotten himself in such a mess. Like, because if he just walks away, we lose the war. It's embarrassing, but it obviously would be better for America. But if he stays in there, America's going to suffer. People are going to have a hard time paying for gas. I've had 3 people this week tell me they can't afford gas.
Fucking please. You don't know anybody that has less than $10 million in their bank. Don't even pretend. Jake fucking Shields got a gigantic podcast Not quite as big as Joe Rogan, but it's in the ballpark, roughly. Don't sit there and lie to me and claim that you know people who can't afford gas. This is all a cheap, transparent attempt to destroy Donald Trump. And I get it. I don't like Trump either, but don't fucking lie.
Gas. So these are things that these elites don't think about. People are struggling. What's Trump's move?
Well, here's the thing. Unfortunately, and people have a hard time with this, once he bombed Iran, things have changed now. It's different now. Before you dropped the bombs, you could do any number of things. But now that Iran has closed off the strait, now that we have killed the supreme leader, it's just different now. And Trump, let's just be realistic, he just doesn't have as many options as he did a few weeks ago. So, I say this and other people say we should just pack it up and leave. Well, you can't really do that. If we're being realistic and not, in fantasy land where there's no repercussions for our actions, you can't just leave. Why?
Good mess now.
If you just leave, now we have no deterrence. Now we have no credibility. How are we going to get a deal in Ukraine? How are we going to deter China in Taiwan? How are we going to facilitate whatever we're doing in Venezuela and Cuba? We have no credibility. So if we just pack it up and leave, Iran now controls the Strait of Hormuz. This is a catastrophe. They have reestablished deterrence. We can realistically not go back and attack them at any point. So they're emboldened. You could say they're more hardline and more defiant than ever.
Yep, and every bit of it is Donald Trump's fault. Every bit of this was his doing. This was completely unnecessary. He created this catastrophe for himself. It is so fucking stupid.
This is just like infinitely worse than before. And we've lost deterrence for all of these other conflicts that we're trying to facilitate elsewhere. So I think if you're Trump, and this has been my forecast for the past few weeks, he is looking for an opportunity to get some kind of a victory so that we can find the off-ramp. And so maybe that means we take one of the islands. Maybe it can be symbolic. It can be minor. We just need to notch a victory, get Iran to agree to some terms. So
he could do that by just signing the Iran nuclear deal with them again. He could do that very, very easily. Just sign another deal that's identical to Obama's. Would they be able to, or would they willingly accept that deal? I don't know. But you could give it a shot. The Iran nuclear deal was a phenomenally good deal. It's like, when that deal was undone, it made war inevitable. It was impossible to get out of this situation without war when you erased the deal that we had in place to avoid it. That was entirely on Donald Trump. Every part of this was predictable.
That we can leave without a complete humiliation. And that seems to be the best option right now. If you're being realistic, if you're the president, unfortunately though, I just don't see how you're going to do that because we are losing and we don't have any of the cards. And any way that we can escalate, it will be delivered right back to us in kind. If we bomb Iran's infrastructure, they hit the Gulf. We bomb their desalination power plants, they do it to Saudi Arabia. So there just seems to be sparingly little we can do to save face. And so you just wonder what kind of operation they can cook up that can thread the needle like that and get us out of here.
Yeah, I was thinking if I was his advisor, how would I advise him to get out of this mess? And I didn't have any good answers.
Well, there are a ton of good answers. Tell Donald Trump to sign a new Iran nuclear deal. Ask them if they will agree to the old one and keep the Strait of Hormuz open. And if they won't, give them money to do it. And if they still refuse, give them more money. Keep increasing the number of, or the amount of money that you're willing to give them to end this until it equals the amount of money you'd be spending every day on the war, which is, I think, $12 billion a day or something, or I'm not even sure that that's the right number. They asked for $200 billion. So anything under $200 billion, I'd be fine with giving Iran to open the strait and agree to the JCPOA, the new JCPOA again. If it costs less to fight the war, then that's what I'd do.
Was pondering, being like, wow, like every option's bad, you know? I wish you would just apologize, but that obviously isn't going to happen. Be like, sorry, guys. Oops.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. Realistically, actually, let me amend what I just said. If you really got to the fundamentals, the way that you end the conflict is you put Israel in their place. If you're Trump and you're looking at the set of options before you right now, maybe you'd say escalate to de-escalate. I would probably agree that's really all you can do. But if you really want to solve this, do you know what Iran is saying? Iran is saying, we don't want a truce. We don't want a ceasefire. Why? Well, obviously they want some form of a truce. What they don't want is a 30-day reprieve for Israel and the U.S. to replenish their munition stores and then launch another attack because Iran has the advantage. So what Iran is saying is, we want a permanent end to the fighting. We want confidence you're not going to do this again. Well, what is driving the conflict between us and Iran is Israel. So if you want to give Iran assurances and open up the strait, the road to that runs through Israel. You have to break the back of Israel so that they don't continue egging this on and provoking Iran. Only then can you give the assurances necessary to Iran to have a permanent cessation of hostilities.
I think I agree with that. Although you have to, I don't think I want to like fight Israel. I think I want to force them into negotiations and prevent them from doing anything stupid.
If you want to end the fighting, that's what you do, and we solve it tomorrow. But it's just that Washington is literally not able to do that.
Yeah, I think it's very important to point out that too. Like you said, Iran is also in a very tough situation. They can't just, sign a ceasefire or we're going to come in and attack them again. We keep doing it. We've been humiliating them for years. They have to make it where we're scared to want to go to war with them again. They have to.
Exactly.
If people out there and stop right away, I'm like, no, they have no choice but to go out, either die or try. And they're doing better than I thought. They're doing pretty well. Like, I don't know there was the rescue mission. Some people say they think that was a failed ground invasion. Do you have any thoughts on that? Because I guess they tried bringing, I guess it was 100 and something miles away from where the crash was.
Yeah, I mean,
cargo jets. I don't really know much about that. So
I also heard that it was suspicious, and we have no reason to we have no reason to trust the Trump administration. It's completely untrustworthy at this point. So, yeah, I just don't know. I don't know what happened with the rescue mission.
Yeah, me neither. And there's really no way to know because there's so much propaganda. But I mean, there's some credible speculation based on the losses that were suffered. We lost a lot of equipment, and people also said that the C-130 cargo transport aircraft, they had to be scuttled. Apparently, they were flown in to bring a bunch of special operators to rescue the pilots. They were hit. The planes were hit and could not be flown back out. So we had to scuttle them. We had to destroy them to prevent them from falling into the hands of the Iranians. Well, those C-130s were closer to Isfahan, which is where the highly enriched uranium is buried, than they were to where the pilots allegedly went down in the mountain ridges.
I don't like to speculate. I have no idea.
And like 5 times closer to Isfahan than where the pilots were. So that's where some of the speculation comes from.
I think speculation in these types of situations is foolish and a complete waste of time. We have no clue. We don't know.
Yeah, I think it's through mountains too. So it seems unlikely that some pilot went like 100 miles through mountains in Iran. Well, I say it's a mountainous region. You can't just invade these with a ground invasion. If we send ground troops in for a ground invasion, there's thousands, maybe tens of thousands of Americans might die. And we just don't have the stomach. The country's already against it. It would turn so hard against it. So I think Trump knows this and wants an off-ramp, like you said, but he wants to be able to say some kind of victory. Iran doesn't want to give him anything. I don't know. I really hope they negotiate something before tonight because he's threatening just pure evil.
I hope so too, but I don't see how it happens because Iran keeps saying we're not going to accept a ceasefire. And what they are after then is like these big concessions. They want America to give them reparations, give them the strait, shut down all their bases. So as of yesterday, Iran said, we just don't even want to talk anymore. Now they're saying, well, a deal is about to happen tonight. And what they're saying is it's just going to be an extension of the deadline by 2 weeks so they could really get down to brass tacks and iron out a deal. I don't know how much I believe that, but I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm just going to pray for a deal. So I don't want Americans to die. I don't want Iranians to die. I don't want our economy to a tank. There's just literally nothing.
It's too late. Like, our economy is tanking. Everything is a fucking mess because of Donald Trump. He did every bit of this. He made every part of this happen. All of it.
Good. In my view, you probably agree, not a single good thing from America. It's also a little humiliating. Like, we disagreed on the Venezuela operation, but it was impressive. It made America look mighty.
No, it didn't. It made us look like fucking idiots. You don't understand what we look like in the rest of the world, obviously. It made us look like people who just don't give a fuck anymore, who are willing to, like, break international law for whatever. That's what it looks like.
Unstoppable. This has embarrassed us.
Yeah, well, when
doesn't get invincible anymore.
You're right, and it's a perfect contrast because you look at the Venezuela operation. It was decisive. It was quick. We had a stated objective. We completed it. We didn't lose any lives. It didn't cost any money. We got what we wanted. It was in our region. You could articulate the benefits for America. None of that can be said about this. No clear objectives, not competent, not decisive, taking way too long, tanking the economy. It's all the way over there. No benefits. People are dying. Hundreds are injured. It's like, so yeah, I know we disagreed, but at the minimum, you could say a case could be made that Venezuela is not Iran. Like, there were some benefits that could have accrued. This is just a complete disaster, unmitigated catastrophe, and deeply humiliating because we just look like a joke.
It's been so humiliating for as Americans, humiliated our country. I think Trump got overconfident from that and like, yeah, we could do this. And I heard there was reports of like CIA and stuff saying like, hey, we don't think this is, they're not going to have a revolution after this, but Trump just didn't listen. Didn't only a few.
You know why? Because Netanyahu told him that there would be a revolution if we just facilitated it. And then, so Trump goes in and just, wreaks havoc and then says, this is your moment, Iranians. Go out in the streets and blah, blah, blah. And then nothing happened because that's not how it works. You know why there's never going to be a civil war in the United States again? Because the U.S. military is so completely overpowered. Anybody who started a genuine civil war would be crushed within a week. Republicans will never start a civil war unless they're the ones wielding the military. And Democrats will never start a civil war unless they're wielding the military. You know, back in the day, the U.S. military 200 years ago was equipped with the same types of weapons and stuff that were commercially available to regular people. You know, you could buy a cannon, for example. You can't buy a nuclear weapon today as a private citizen. You can't buy Tomahawk missiles. You can't buy tanks. Warfare has changed completely. And that makes civil war, certainly in the United States, untenable. You have to have some source of military weapons to succeed, and those would have to be supplied from the outside, and no one is going to supply weapons to the United States like that. Not going to happen.
Two of them like secretly negotiated it. I think it was like I don't know who it was. It was like Mark Rubio. They didn't even tell very many people launched it. There's all the firing of the military generals. I think it's people that aren't wanting to do the war. Do you have any insight at why they're firing all these generals?
Yeah, the New York Times said today that when the decision was made to launch the war, it was because of this big push by the Israelis in the middle of February. And they said that the Israelis basically misrepresented this. They told Trump that Iran was going to undergo an uprising and we would easily prevent them from taking the strait, destroy all their missiles, all these things that have not happened. Like Iran did close the strait. We can't destroy all their missiles, and they didn't have an uprising. The Israelis said all that would be easy, and they said that every American general warned Trump that this would happen. Every American general said, you're not going to get regime change. They're going to close the strait. We're not going to be able to destroy all their missiles. Trump ignored all of them. And this is true. I think you know this is true because in the weeks leading up to the war, I remember specifically the generals were planting stories in the papers, like in the Washington Post, saying, we do not believe in this. There is no decisive strike. We don't support it. This is going to be a disaster. So from inside the regime, they were telegraphing this isn't going to work. It was almost like an SOS. So, and I imagine that generals are being fired because they're not giving Trump the options that he wants, which is he wants to get the highly enriched uranium. He wants to invade Karg Island. Maybe they're talking about a tactical nuke. Who knows? Anything is possible right now.
That would be sick, but it is possible. I mean, that would be truly sick, but it is possible.
It's a non-zero chance. I wouldn't say it's high, but I would say it's a non-zero chance.
I would agree, but this is gets sick thinking about if America would do that. It's like
as if he gives a shit about children or human suffering. He's wearing a Bobby Fischer shirt, okay? The dude was a vile anti-Semite, praised Hitler and the whole nine. Insane.
We're the bad guys in this situation, and unfortunately, we're probably not going to change course for a while, but hopefully we're wrong and he'll get a deal tonight and everything goes good. So what do you have next? When I first met you, you were toxic. I remember, like, let me get you on a couple of podcasts. I called 10 of my friends, only Hodgkins, Matt Spectrum. They're the only people that have the balls to talk to you. I'm not going to say any names, but everyone's like, no one would have anything to do with you. Now people are constantly hitting me up. I'm like, dude, I'm not his booking agent. Always, I hate it a couple times. I usually don't even respond because you're not big enough podcasts. I'm just constantly being like, can you get a Nick on my show? Can you get Nick on my show? You're like the most popular guy. Everyone wants you now. That must feel a little weird.
Yeah, it feels good. I mean, it's I try to do as much as I can, or at least I was last year. Now I'm trying to be a little more mellow. Honestly, I feel I have a lot of plans.
He's trying to be mellow in the sense that he's trying to say the quiet part a little quieter. He's trying to be a little bit more veiled about it. When he talks about concentration camps, he says, I'm just joking, don't want concentration camps. He says it he just says it in a more veiled way is the bottom line. Now, what game do I want to play? I guess I could play Metroid Dread. Running out of games over here that I haven't played recently. Let me pull Metroid Dread here. 1 second. Oh. Okay, let's continue.
And I have a lot of ideas for where I want to take everything, and I'm working on some things with my nonprofit. But
you got a nonprofit? Oh, please don't tell me that.
But I have to tell you, I feel very demoralized lately. I know I need to overcome that. People don't want to hear that if they consider me a leader or the leader, but it's hard not to get demoralized when you see that what we're doing seems to almost have no effect on the outcomes. You know, it's hard to imagine that Trump got elected and
more, but it's not. They don't listen to anything. They're just saying fuck you to all of us. So it's like,
yeah,
thanks to like you putting all this work in and coming in, we completely changed the whole people like don't support Israel anymore, but it doesn't matter.
Well,
okay, he founded America First Foundation, AFF, in 2020 as a financial backbone and organizing umbrella of his America First movement. As of 2025, the organization claimed 501c4 nonprofit status. According to its website, its mission is to champion the role of God in society, upholding the principles of nationalism, Christianity, and traditionalism. By the way, those are the exact principles that Hitler, quote-unquote, championed. It sounds like it's like from the Nazi 25-point plan. The AFF supports several of Fuentes' ventures, including his annual America First Political Action Conference, AFPAC, rallies, film screenings, and reports. AFPAC is essentially a counter event to CPAC, which Fuentes is barred from attending. That's funny. And has previously featured elected officials as far-right influencers, including but not limited to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Okay.
I would say, adding on to it, because I was about to say what you just said, but to take it a step further, it's even the people that are Israel critical or know the relevant facts, even they are just getting tricked all the time. Even they are being misled all the time. Yeah, so you just say, at what point do you realize we're kind of cooked and maybe it needs to get worse before it gets better? Not to sound like an accelerationist, but timing is everything, and sometimes it's just not the right time. So you say, maybe we got to learn the hard way.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little demoralized as well. It sucks, but the country's not heading the right direction. Almost 40 trillion in debt. That's like, no one ever talks about that. That's not a good thing. I don't think people understand, like, that's going to cause inflation, I would think.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to cause a huge fucking mess. And we can't cut our way out of this. We cannot cut spending enough to fix that. It's not possible financially. Obviously, Doge tried to cut shit that shouldn't have been cut, and they didn't even touch the national debt. It went up when Doge did their shit. You cannot cut your way out of this debt. You must raise taxes. There is no other way around it. Raise taxes on the ultra wealthy.
What they got to do, they got to print more money. The interest's going to keep going up, and it comes to some point. What do? The country just goes bankrupt.
Well, yeah,
trying to bankrupt the country.
There's some people. I remember my government teacher in high school was like, well, the debt can be as high as we want it to be. That doesn't matter. You know, and there's some people that promulgate this modern monetary theory where they say the debt doesn't matter. But it's like, okay, interest rates are going up. We have
yes, the debt does matter. It does. It may not matter as much as people feel it matters, not to the same degree. But it absolutely matters. We need to raise taxes on the rich. We need to do that. There is no other way to solve this problem.
$40 trillion debt. How do you think we're going to service that debt with high interest rates? You know, eventually we're going to be paying more in interest on the debt than our military cost, than our entitlements cost. And you just get buried alive in this stuff. So there is a limit. And then you have the de-dollarization, which is overstated, but gradually there is.
It's really not as overstated. I guess it depends on who you're asking. De-dollarization is a bad thing, and it is happening, though.
Going to be less and less demand for the US dollar. So our borrowing potential is not unlimited. It's constrained by demand, and it's constrained by interest to service the debt. So yeah, it's like, you know, I don't know. I don't know how any of these things are going to get solved anytime soon.
Yeah, and I'm skeptical of the stock market, Bitcoin, and the real estate market right now, and the dollar's going down. So it's like, I work hard to make money in my life. I'm looking, everything could just like...
Come on, brother. You do not work hard. Give it a fucking rest. Everybody knows you're a podcaster and you're not working hard, quote unquote. I work hard doing my job because I do my own editing. I do my own social media management, my own everything. You come here and talk. That's it. You talk for an hour, you leave, you're done. You don't have to do any of the marketing. You don't have to worry about thumbnails and titling and finding sponsors and shit like that. You don't work hard.
Fall apart. You start being like, damn, it's I don't know where. Let me go through and read a few of these super chats.
Oh, great.
Yeah. You can talk to my audience if you want, Nick.
For sure, yeah.
If you have very many. Your super chat. I love the super chats on your show. I just watch clips. Sometimes people post it. You're just going off on your fans. It's pretty hilarious.
I hate them, but it's okay. But that's all.
I hate my fans. Is that what he just said? Okay.
All right.
That's a decision.
I was just saying, I told you right before, because like, it'd be hilarious if you just didn't show today and like, gotcha, bitch. Yeah. I would have had you just laugh.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. What's this guy say? Topic suggestions. Oh, he's giving us topic suggestions.
Oh.
Let's see what he's got. Potential nuke drop in the future as early as tonight. Nah, not tonight. Well, I hope not tonight. Trump impeachment. That's interesting because there hasn't been that big. I think there's finally starting to be a call of impeachment, but even the Democrats were mostly silent until the last couple of days.
Because it's a waste of time right now. He's been impeached twice. We don't have the votes in the Senate to acquit. And every time he beats the impeachment, every time he's acquitted or whatever, it looks like he didn't do anything wrong. To the public, it appears as though he was innocent. So impeachment is a political risk, but I think that it needs to happen. I think he needs to be impeached, even despite the political risk, in my opinion.
It just shows you they're all controlled. You know, the two-party system's almost a bullshit. So anything else in there? He has a lot of topics for us. This guy, like,
oh wow,
I'm not hire or miss my. Among those who are genuinely America first, God bless you, gentlemen. Well, thank you. So yeah, we kind of talked about the nuke already. He said potential to deny. I think I would be shocked. You never know with Trump, though. Anything's possible with Trump.
Yeah, right? I think he, I've said this for a long time. I have a suspicion that he might want to do that, but it just seems too radical even for him. But I
agree. I don't think he's going to drop a nuke. He may want to, but I don't think the generals would allow him to drop a nuke. I heard recently that he tried to, and the generals basically said no. I don't know how true that is, but yeah.
And I don't know that I'd rule it out now.
Yeah, I don't even know how would we react as a country if we did. It's like, what do we even do? That's why it's been so demoralizing, because I think, what are our next steps? And I don't have a good answer for that. If you get some good answers, let me know. Give me a call and we can brainstorm some ideas, because I think it sounds like you're in the same position as me, being like, what are the next steps? So I thought the information war was going to be like, oh, that'll solve it. It's not looking like it.
Jake Shields is so fucking weird, dude. This guy had his brain beaten a couple too many times.
Have you considered inviting Joseph Atwill, author of Caesar's Messiah, onto your show? I will keep super chatting this request. I think that's for me, not you. I don't know who that is. You know who that is?
I do not know.
Well, I will look him up. I don't know who it is, but I'll look him up.
He's not going to look him up.
What do we have? I guess the guy just sent a gift. Thank you. The world didn't deserve. I don't understand what that is.
Bro, you're so slow about super chats. You're supposed to ask all of them above a certain amount. Damn.
I don't know if it's shit talking, so I'm not going to read if people talk shit. Judah received 30 pieces of silver from AIPAC.
Judas Iscariot, from the Bible. You ever read it?
Judas.
So true.
Thoughts on the ceasefire announcement? Just announced, but I guess they
was it?
That's what this guy said. Do you trust Trump though? I don't know.
Was it actually announced or? Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, this is breaking. The U.S. and Iran reached an 11th hour ceasefire on Tuesday evening, hours after Trump threatened to start wiping out a whole civilization.
They didn't actually, though. They did not they didn't do a ceasefire. Trump just said they did, because he didn't want to actually wipe out an entire civilization like he said. He was bluffing, which is fucking stupid. You can't do that shit, okay? My God.
Agreement was announced by Trump on social media hours after Pakistan urged Trump to stand down. Let me see what his post says.
See what Trump tweets about it? His psycho deranged tweets?
Yeah, literally have to go to Truth Social.
Yeah, or Truth Social.
Here we go, Kim.
Truth Central.
Let me read it to you. So it says, based on conversation with the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif of Pakistan, wherein they requested I hold off the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran, and subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran agreeing to complete, immediate, and safe opening of the strait. Oh, subject to Iran opening up the strait, I agree to suspend the bombing and attack Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be a double-sided ceasefire. Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, it's not even a real fucking, it's just a joke, right? That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, it doesn't sound like Iran agreed to it.
Yeah, that's
right. They didn't. They did not agree to that.
What it sounded like to me too, unless I was misunderstanding that. It sounds like he's just saying it. Let's just tell
he's
Trump he won.
That's correct.
Fine. Let's just tell Trump he won. They can leave the strait open.
yeah, that's it. I don't even. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to take a look at that before my show tonight. But that doesn't even sound like Iran agreed to it. It sounds like
it didn't sound like that either. That's exactly my take. He's fighting a war to open the strait that was already open.
Yeah, right. Okay, he says so.
Yeah.
Well, they need to open up the strait. It's like, well, they haven't. So I don't. And he says we're going to hold off for 2 weeks. It's like,
let me actually go use the bathroom real fast. Take me 30 seconds. Okay, hang on 1 second.
well, why do we need to wait 2 weeks if they opened up the strait? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Trust the plan.
Yeah, right.
8D chess, whatever it is.
Yeah.
At this point, with the war going so badly, they have to false flag nuke the U.S. or Europe to say, "See, we told you Iran is going to use the nukes." I don't think they would go that far, but anything's possible.
Yeah, I doubt it.
A lot of things I didn't think. You know, I remember woke up when we were bombing Iran. I was like, "Wait, we really did this?" And
yeah.
Why are you and Sneeko always fighting?
I don't know, man. He's a little, well, you know what? I just want us to not fight. I love Sneeko. He's my homeboy.
Yeah, he's awesome. Though the funny, I guess, tell the story of when I got in a fight. I'm not like a druggie, but someone was like swearing how great ketamine is. And I'm like, oh, I do this tiny little thing. And I kind of forgot. Sneeko, is he calling? So I grabbed him like, oh, yeah, what up, Sneeko? He's like, oh, so he did tell me he was on there, to be fair. And we started chatting. And that's when I talked shit about the sweater and stuff. And I hung the phone. I'm like, oh shit, I realized how fucked up it was. And I call my producer. I'm like, oh, I think I just talked shit about Nick. Should I call Sneeko to have him take it down?
Okay.
How fucked
34. Here we are. Put these puppies back in and continue.
Why do we need to wait 2 weeks if they opened up the strait? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Van Briggs says, you got it, but that's risky with Nick. You're absolutely right. But he's on someone else's show, and usually he doesn't say full slurs on other people's shows. So I think it was reasonably safe. I guess we'll find out in a second, huh?
Trust the plan.
Yeah, right.
8D chess, whatever it is.
Yeah.
This QAnon shit.
At this point, with the war going so badly, they have to false flag nuke the U.S. or Europe to say, "See, we told you Iran is going to use the nukes." I don't think they would go that far, but anything's possible.
Yeah, right. I agree. They wouldn't go that far.
I doubt it.
A lot of things I didn't think. You know, I remember woke up when we were bombing Iran. I was like, "Wait, we really did this?" And
yeah.
Why are you and Sneeko always fighting?
I don't know, man. He's a little, well, you know what? I just want us to not fight. I love Sneeko. He's my homeboy.
Yeah, he's awesome. Though the funny, I guess, tell the story of when I got in a fight. I'm not like a druggie, but someone was like swearing how great ketamine is. And I'm like, oh, I do this tiny little thing. And I kind of forgot. Sneeko, is he calling? So I grabbed him like, oh, yeah, what up, Sneeko? He's like, oh, so he did tell me he was on there, to be fair. And we started chatting. And that's when I talked shit about the sweater and stuff. And I hung the phone. I'm like, oh shit, I realized how fucked up it was. And I call my producer. I'm like, oh, I think I just talked shit about Nick. Should I call Sneeko to have him take it down? And then looked online and it was like already everywhere. I'm like,
yeah.
So they talk shit about each other or whatever? Interesting.
Good. Hey, it's all water under the bridge now.
No, that's why I was glad we were able to laugh about it. And we don't hold grudges because you went off on me a few times too. But exactly, I hold zero.
Dude, I'm super curious. Hang on. About let me see if I can find that. If I search the twit, I know I need to do it off air because adult entertainment just randomly pops up. Sneeko, Jake, Shields, Fuentes, media.
That's true.
Great, doing the Sieg Heil, fantastic.
Just getting video.
What's this?
Slavik Lukovic said
Cut the
$100. Nick is all we got. Nick is all we...
I'm trying to figure out where this is. This it?
Ryan's funny because he's been here for so long.
To like make some alliances with them.
This doesn't seem like the one. What's this?
Yeah, I'm on stream. I'm just going through.
This is it. This is the one.
Your Twitter. I'm seeing the back and forth.
I might quickly things. I'm not trying to. Maybe I went a little too far. I figured no reason to have a feud with someone who was. We had a big disagreement, but he's still doing a lot to wake people up.
Oh, okay. So you're saying you went too far?
I get hot-headed. Nick talked a lot of shit about me last night, and I think that was fucked up and wrong. But then, also maybe I react. Someone just told me, I guess Dan talked to Nick, and someone told Nick that I was talking shit before he did that, which is false. He didn't watch what I said. I've done the same thing. Got mad at someone when I was told they were talking shit and they weren't. So it's like, if that's the case, obviously it's gonna be hard to patch up our friendship. With the shit.
Yeah, I mean, you tweeted the cap. You tweeted this an hour ago.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like Dan's trying to get me to call him, but I think we've gone a little bit far. But if someone actually did tell Nick I was talking shit right before that stream, that makes things a lot different.
Yeah.
I'm like super confused about what's happening here.
I don't know. It's one of those situations. I don't like some of his takes. This guy's talking shit with me, so of course I'm gonna fucking talk shit back. But then, I don't know. Allegedly, someone told him I'm talking shit. We've talked shit about. I think we're both hard-headed and jumped to talking shit.
Okay. Well, yeah.
But it's also division's also not fucking good when we're fighting against such a powerful enemy.
Right.
Powerful enemy, the Jews, right? Is that the enemy? Oop, I hit M.
I agree.
Okay, that was the end of the clip. I don't understand. Like, what's going on here? And what's wrong with Sneeko's hair? What's this? No, that's the same one. Yeah, I have no idea. I have no clue what he's even talking about here.
Zero resentment. And people kept trying to get us to keep fighting on both of our sides. That's when I realized, you don't want to block all these people because they're trying to drive us. And some of them might even be bad actors. They might not even really be actors. They're really just trying to push me and you to keep fighting. Like that could be deliberate. Maybe not, because it's be that people like seeing a fight. But that's once I realized that, I'm like, okay, just from now on, just block anyone.
Yeah.
We haven't fought since.
You're violating their free speech. Freedom of speech says you absolutely must allow them to talk openly about hating you and or Nick without blocking them. Blocking people is violating their First Amendment to free speech, right?
Yeah, there you go.
It worked. So yeah, anything and best nothing really positive, it sounds like. I want to end with a positive note. I'm thinking I guess the next election, let's end with like midterms, I guess. I'll probably not vote. I would vote Democratic my first time.
Wow, dude. Fuentes and Jake Shields are saying they're going to vote Democrat in the next election just to spite Trump. That's interesting.
To say fuck you to them?
Yeah, that's the positive. We're Democrats now, and Democrats are going to win, so we get to be winners. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, we're going to win finally.
There's nothing winner about either of these people.
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually, we're going to be Democrats and win. Republican Party almost might be worse. I was making fun of Richard Spencer for because he was a Kamala. He was right. I need to call him and apologize.
Mm-hmm. In the end,
Kamala, I'm like, I was just teasing, like, come on, you're really. They call him like the white supremacist, and he was pushing for the black girl. She was just so.
This is wild. Yes, Richard Spencer. You guys remember him? He was the guy who started the conversation. Should you punch a Nazi? And he was the Nazi that was being punched in that scenario. And it's like he self-identifies as a Nazi. You know, has the same haircut as Hitler, the whole nine at the time, I believe. And he was involved in the Charlottesville rally, the neo-Nazi rally in 2017, I think, where Trump said there were good people on all sides, which was incorrect. There were Nazis on the other side. Those are not good people, FYI. I guess Trump didn't connect the dots on that one. But anyway, Richard Spencer, yeah, he was basically completely shunned from society after, the Charlottesville stuff. And now he's making a comeback. Wild.
So awful. That was alternative.
Yeah, she was horrible, but, too bad.
How was she horrible? In what way was Kamala horrible?
Bad options. That's why I didn't vote. I just said, fuck it. Yeah. I don't like either of the options.
No, I couldn't see myself voting for Kamala. Yes,
it's Kamala.
Midterms, the Democrats will probably take it. Nothing will happen. But I think, obviously we got to start pushing a bunch of anti-Israel Republicans. Do you think this is a realistic strategy that can make change? Obviously, it would take time, over like 10 years, or do you think the country's too far gone? I guess it's got to be rebuilt at some point.
Well, I'll support Israel critical Republicans, but, I really think that's just kind of eating around the crust. It's kind of, we're working around the edges of it. We got to get to the center of it, which is we need to build a real political movement. We need donors. We need infiltrators. We just need elite human capital, the leaders of society to get red pilled. Because I don't really believe in any kind of electoral solution. I don't believe in convincing the masses. It's sort of the public opinion is downstream from the institutions.
That's because he knows how unpopular his opinion is with the public. He knows how psychotic neo-Nazi ideology is, and he knows that people aren't going to want to support that. So he has no real hope of changing public opinion on neo-Nazi ideology. But he is, that's why he has to try to force his way in. Anyway, yeah.
From the elites, what is being promulgated by the media. The media is controlled by the money. The money is dictated by who controls the emergent technology. So it's like, by the time you get to what the fucking stupid normies think and what they'll vote for, it's like, the revolution has already happened. The revolution happened many steps behind when the public changed their mind about an issue or whatever, when you saw it on TikTok. So I think we just need to kind of reorient our focus and think structurally, how are we going to create the movement that delivers the victory? So that's kind of what I've been focused on.
Yeah, no, we need radical change, and like obviously keep me updated on what you're doing. But when I was thinking about running, I called a campaign finance manager, and they wanted me to like throw $1 million, my own money, and right away to start it off. And like that's a good amount of money. So to even get started, to maybe win, you got to start to have $1 million to get your campaign going. It's like it's not. This explains why everyone's bought, and it's not just AIPAC. That's probably the biggest one, but the farmers.
Like, yes, it costs a lot of money to do this stuff, to campaign and everything, but the point is you should be doing your funding through public low dollar donations, like not filthy rich people. You know, there should be a limit on how much money a campaign can take from a single donator, and that includes super PACs. You shouldn't be allowed to have a company do the purchasing for you. Right now, you can only take, I think, like $2,500 per person. You know, if I wanted to donate $2,500 to Bernie Sanders, that's a max that I could donate, for example. But I could donate $2 million if I even had it. I don't. $2 million to Bernie Sanders' unaffiliated super PAC, just a company that really likes what Bernie Sanders is up to. I could give them $2 million, and they'll spend that $2 million on promoting Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders has nothing to do with the organization officially. Legally, he cannot have anything to do with the organization. So the point is that there is an unlimited amount of money that you can donate to political campaigns at the end of the day through super PACs. That should not exist. The maximum should be $250 per individual. That is it. And no super PACs, none.
Pharmaceutical companies, our government pretty much only works for corporate interest. I'm a capitalist, obviously, but I think there needs to be some checks and balances. I was just in Vietnam, communist country, and they're thriving. They have like an 8.6 GDP growth a year. We're at like 2.2. things are getting up, no homeless. I'm not endorsing communism, but you're like, okay, maybe there's some few things that are positive.
Right, but
wow, Jake Shields endorses communism. You heard it here first. I'm sorry. You heard it here first, folks.
Even still, what can one representative do? We have Thomas Massey, and he's good, but at the end of the day, you're not going to get a huge contingent. I don't think it's not worthwhile. I think we should try to get a contingent of people that, even if we have 5 or 10 or 15 congressmen or something, but I'm more interested in the deep state. I'm more interested in getting guys in the supply chains, the acquisition process and the regulatory agencies. I want to get guys in Washington that become part of the permanent bureaucratic class. That seems to be where the seat of the power is, because the representatives come and go, and they're very fragile, and they're very subject to the changing political winds. If you want a more enduring and lasting influence, you kind of need to look deeper at where the power actually lies, and that's among the staffers, that's among the bureaucrats.
Yeah, I think you just nailed it right there. That's figured out. That's not an easy thing to infiltrate at all, but that might be the moves. And I think you tell your workers, right, to like infiltrate. Sometimes don't talk about it. That might be the move, to kind of slowly come in, infiltrate the system, and take it back. And it's gonna take time. Either the country's gonna collapse, or it'll be like 10 years. But we have to just stay hopeful. So, yeah, thanks so much. Anything you want to add, or where can people find you? You're only on Rumble, right?
I'm only on Rumble. Yeah, I'm on Twitter and Rumble. And
okay, sounds like it's advertisements from here. That is wild, dude. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. These people are vile, disgusting, evil human beings. And actually, there's something else that I wanted to cover, I think, before I get off of here. Let me see. Just a video I wanted to hit ahead of time. Give me a second here. Okay, what's this? I don't remember what this is.
I want to start with the 2024 autopsy, which you call an after-action review. When you won the chairmanship in February of 25, you criticized the DNC's refusal to release their 2016 autopsy as exactly what not to do. You said, quote, "Was there any utility in doing that?" And then promised your 2024 autopsy would be different. Your exact quote was, "Of course it will be released." Why did you change your mind on that?
Well, look, I mean, what I said all along, even when I ran for this position, is that we were going to focus on the things that will help us win the upcoming election, right? Making sure that we learn the right lessons that could help inform our victories. And that's what we've done. We said this when we sent out the press release back in November, saying we weren't going to release the report.
Okay, I don't think that's terribly interesting, but let me pull these other videos real fast and see if I want to do like a short form video on any of this stuff. Add to queue, process all, downloading. Okay, good. Done. All right, let me just pull these up here real fast.
Here's the truth. You're not going to...
Jesus Christ is real!
Yes, an obnoxious idiot.
Here's the truth.
Every morning I wake up to a new...
Okay, here we go. Do I want to cover these? Yeah, let's cover this real fast. And also... yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right, cool. New footage just dropped of Nick Fuentes. Let me think about how to start this. Shoot. How do I lead into this? Do you guys remember this video from Nick Fuentes a while back where he says, "Your body, my choice"? New camera footage dropped from his court hearing, I believe, that I want to show you guys. Let me catch you up on the story. After Trump won, this happened.
Feel when we control your bodies? Hey, bitch, we control your bodies. Guess what? Guys win again, okay? Men win again. And yes, we control your bodies. Hi, I'm your Republican congressman. Hi, I'm your Republican congressman. It's your body, my choice. And men, women again. Men win again. There will never, ever be a female president. Never. There will never be a female president, ever. It's over. Glass ceiling. Dude, it's a ceiling made of fucking bricks. You will never break it. Your stupid face keeps hitting the brick ceiling. We will keep you down forever. You will never control your own bodies. You will never be the president of the global empire.
So anyway, that's what he said originally, and this went mega viral. People were not happy with him saying this, and it led to him being doxxed. His address was doxxed, and people showed up to his house to film him, to talk shit to him, you know, that kind of thing. And this video went viral at the time afterward.
Hi. Oh my God, what are you doing?
Get the fuck out of here.
So we didn't fully understand what happened in that video. It was kind of confusing and a garbled mess, but here's footage from the Ring camera. I believe this came out in his court hearing, like when he was going to criminal court for assaulting this woman because she pressed charges. Here's how it played out.
Hi. Oh my God, what are you doing?
Get the fuck out of here.
So he pepper sprays her, pushes her to the ground, grabs her phone, walks back inside. I think she said, did you catch that? And I don't believe that the person watching did, because these seem to be the only like angles that we see it from. There's some other footage of this incident. Let me find it. Hang on.
So you're either...
Let me just look.
It's fun. I a lot. Well, yeah.
Anytime you talk...
Kind of. I don't...
Judy...
Have a...
Hold on.
I don't know.
Invest.
When I got... There is... When I...
Investigator.
I'm gonna...
Hold on.
Feel when we... So I am now going viral on TikTok, Twitter. Let's not forget...
Yeah. This is his original response to it, I believe.
So I am now going viral on TikTok, Twitter, Google search trends for my very funny clip on my election night stream. In a moment of exuberance and jubilation, I excitedly declared that since Donald Trump became the president, women's bodies are now under our control. And I mean that. I said it's their body, but it is our choice. And politically, I'm obsessed with controlling women's bodies. I'm going to tell them what they're allowed to do with them. It's my decision. We as males, we as men control their bodies. They have no say in the matter, and that comes to abortion as well as every other issue. Henceforth, men will be controlling what you eat, what you wear, whether you can have an abortion, what your hair looks like, when and whether you can cut your hair.
He's being flippant, but in all seriousness, this is the type of shit that he actually wants to control. And he recently said in a video that I watched yesterday that he wants actual concentration camps. That is what he said. I want actual concentration camps. And then he says, just joking. You have to publish this part. It's just a joke or I'll sue you for libel. He is the biggest piece of shit on planet Earth, dude. Seriously.
We'll be controlling how much makeup you wear, what you do with your nails. We'll be controlling who you have sex with. We'll be controlling where you live and where you go, what time you go to bed. We're going to be controlling all of that. And this is subject to the law according to Project 2025.
That's actually true. That is actually true. Check this one out. This is, I think, him in an alley after he had been arrested, and somebody filming and asking him, filming and asking him a question.
What is that about? I posted a joke on the internet. I'm a live streamer. Oh, you're like a YouTube
This is the police interview after he was arrested. That's what it is.
channel? Or something? Yeah. You're saying you're a white supremacist? I'm not a white supremacist. I'm Mexican. My last name's Fuentes. I know. I kind of a white supremacist. I saw that.
He is a white supremacist, actually. I don't know why he's even pretending otherwise. Absolutely wild. No, I think this is at his house, between his house and the house next to him. I'm just looking through if there's anything else interesting I want to hit on this one. China and Russia. Here, let me try this. Here, this is a good example of who he is, if you're unfamiliar.
I'm a new generation of white person. I'm not living around blacks. Sorry. You know, I want white kids, and I don't want my white kids bringing home black people to marry. It's racial for me. And call me racist. Oh, very Christian of you. I don't give a fuck.
This should show exactly who he is. He's a piece of shit. A vile piece of shit. So it comes as no surprise that people would not like him. The people would go to his house and harass him. I'm not endorsing that. We shouldn't be doing things like that. I don't want to live in a world where it's acceptable to do that type of thing, where political violence or intimidation is accepted as, you know, political speech or whatever. I don't want to live in that world. But the point is, he kind of had that coming, and it's absolutely no surprise to anybody that this played out the way that it did. That's the bottom line. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. He's just a disgusting sack of garbage, truthfully. Okay, I think that's where I'm going to call it for the day. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It's been fun, and I will see you guys on the flippity flip.